All right, so it looks like we're recording. So I'm here with Matt Saldanha, and
Oh,
he had won the West Virginia Amateur Comedy Award. Would we call it an award or like
competition, I guess.
competition? And so that's what we wanted to get together for. So actually, Matt and I were meeting anyway, because I'm going to try to make a couple people laugh with about a 5 minutes worth of material. Actually, probably just really one joke.
Hmm.
That's all that I got the balls for. So since we're on here, I thought we'd kind of go through the process, talk about your process and how you get ready, how you get find some jokes to say, and kind of all of that. Because even me trying to think through that doesn't make a lot of sense. But just kind of like we were talking about before we got on the air, I think a lot of people that you do jiu-jitsu or did jiu-jitsu until you got scared of the COVID.
Yes, I had to take a break.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. By scared, I mean he's normal.
I think I am cautious, rightfully cautious, in my opinion.
No,
Uh,
and I agree. It's this is as far as we're going to go with political, but I do think it's politicized now. So
mhm.
now you're kind of judged on that opinion,
Yeah,
rightfully or wrongfully so, and it's kind of
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of a bummer, but even because of that. So anyway, not the point that we're getting to, but what the point is really is that a lot of people in jiu-jitsu listen to Joe Rogan, who's a comedian, and a lot of the other guys,
Right. Yeah.
right? And because of that, I've found, especially in my gym, a ton of people that want to get up in an open mic, and I think he's done a great service. Just like him, Joe Rogan and Jocko both really actually are kind of like a big reason people are in my gym for jiu-jitsu. Like I have a ton of
Hmm.
people walk in there like, man, I love the Jocko podcast. That's why I'm here. Cool. And then the same thing. I love the Joe Rogan thing because that's all they do is talk about how jiu-jitsu is good for you.
Yeah.
It's good for your brain. And then as like a side note, then they're always like talking about the comedy and the process. And everybody's like, man, it's really cool. I've told a joke and people laughed. I want to try it. Right.
Hmm.
Um, so that's where we're at. So I'm having a big party 2 days from now.
Hmm.
And in 2 days, I'm trying to work up material. Luckily, it's just one joke. So, so we'll go through that. But let's talk about that. So how do you come up with jokes? Are you talking to people at your job and
So
then you
it's,
have
I
fun?
mean, when I first started, yeah, I would just sit there and just try to think about things that were funny.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I would think about, and then later in my daily life, I would think about something funny and be like, okay, I got to write it down later. But by the time I did, it changed in my head or didn't really remember why it was so funny. So now I've gotten into the habit of anytime something I think of something funny, I immediately write it down, whether it's good or not.
Yeah.
Anything I think I can find a joke with, and then I will spend some time later that day or that week going through what I've written down that week and seeing like, okay, what can I make into a joke?
Hmm.
And then I will then test that. Not really, hey, can I tell you some jokes? Like if I'm with my brother, who is also a comedian, I will like say, I'm going to tell you some jokes now. But if I'm just with a group of people with a friend, I'll just say the jokes
Yeah. That's
and
smart.
gauge reactions like that.
And that's interesting too, because, right, like it could be different. So, for example, like in my thought process, obviously I'm not a comedian, but if you
Hmm.
go and you're doing your act, you're in a room with a bunch of different personalities, a bunch of different
Yeah.
people. So some are going to laugh and some are not. And I think you and I have talked about this before, right? Like you don't, and I'm not fine. You're probably going to do better than me. I was going to say, you don't want to say certain kind of jokes in West Virginia.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of subject. Let's say you don't want to say Jewish jokes, right? Or
Yeah.
Nazi jokes in Jerusalem. I don't know. I'm just making up. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I guess that makes the point, right? So that's interesting because even when you come up with something, it may or may not be the right audience, right? It's kind of tough, right?
Yeah, it is. It's really tough because there are some comedians that are really good about changing their set on the fly, which is where they can kind of gauge the audience and then they're like, okay, I'm going to go this way with it instead of the way I planned. I have to plan it. And if something's not going well, I just kind of usually just bite the bullet and go through it. Usually it's gone decent. I mean, I've had more good shows than bad, but I've had those bad shows where my jokes weren't hitting, but I'm like, I already prepared all this stuff. Just gotta get through it, you know?
Yeah. So that's it. So let's talk about your process then. So again, going through that, I've learned that there's different processes, meaning that some people, just like you take some notes, right? You generally have some material, right? And
Yeah.
then do you finish the material? Do you finish the joke on paper and then
Yeah.
reply the joke, or?
I'll either have it written down or in my head how the joke's gonna end. But a lot of the time, but then I practice it. Like, you need the correct tone of voice when you tell a joke,
Yeah.
like pauses and stuff like that.
Is that known as timing?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
you can just say that.
I mean, yeah.
Proper timing. Some of my best jokes, I've just told the same joke a different way, and because I forgot how I was gonna say it, and I was like, oh, let me just try this, and they work out great, and then I go back and change it. I'm like, oh, you know,
That part of doing it in front of an audience, then how many times do you need to tell a joke in front of an audience before you've changed the direction?
yeah. So I'll do a joke 2 or 3 times,
Okay.
and if it's going great, it's going great. If it's not going great, then I'm gonna try and change the joke, because I know maybe it might get me in trouble, but I'm of the philosophy that like any of it can be funny, just told in the right way to the right people.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's true though. I think, well, I wouldn't say it's true, right? I mean, who knows?
It's a very vague statement, so it's definitely true, but I find that it works out for me, and that's why I keep doing it.
No, and listen, I've seen people bomb before. I used to go to comedy shows all the time, before I knew you, obviously. But I'd go, and some people would bomb, but I think in their jokes would probably do well another time, or could even do well in the same location in West Virginia. But maybe kind of what you're saying, maybe their inflection isn't good that night, maybe their energy is not good that night. It just got, or maybe they told the first joke and it got off on the wrong foot and it really bothered them mentally, and it kind of just kept going.
Yeah, I've been messed up before on sets where like someone just had it use flash photography and it got me in the middle of a sentence and I just forgot the rest of the joke.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But West Virginia, like, I joke a lot about how it's hard to tell jokes in West Virginia, but really, I really like. I usually have good audiences here. There are some that I clearly, rub people the wrong way. Shouldn't have been there doing those types of jokes. Like, I had an audience of much older people. There's a restaurant that I won't name because I don't like it, but I had a really good set there one night.
Yeah.
And they had planned the stand-up. They had marketed it for a while, and there were almost 100 people in the audience, and it went great, fantastic. And I was asked, come back and do this again. And they didn't do. There was no marketing or anything. So I show up. They asked me the day before, and so I show up, and there's maybe 12 people, and
Really?
6 of those people is this group of quite old people. They're elderly people, definitely not there for the comedy.
Yeah.
And they got up and left during my set. Like, I told a joke and they're like, let's go, let's get out of here.
How do you, because that I feel like could get you in a bad mental state, right? Like because it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, if I've given directions and somebody got up and walked away, I've been like, well, I'm gonna go and fucking kill that guy. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So I can't imagine telling a joke, right? Because it's hard, right? I mean, people that do it will argue it, and they're probably right. It's the hardest profession, right? Because you're up there by yourself, right? No lifeline, and you've got to make people laugh. That is your job. So imagine. Yeah. It kind of goes back to the De Niro Pesci movies, right? When you're like, just make me laugh, right? Or whatever they say, you think you're funny, and those lines. But, so if I just, if I put you on a spot and I was like, make me laugh, Joker, that's essentially what you're doing without me saying that, right? Because I don't know you, and I'm like, all right, make me laugh. Here's $20, make me laugh.
Yeah, people have the expectation. So that definitely puts a little bit of pressure, but it is, I mean,
Is that
I
the part
don't,
you like?
sorry?
Is that the part you other than people laughing? Is that the part you like? Do you like the
Yeah,
pressure?
kind of like the like I get the butterflies still and I'm like, all right, let's do this, you know?
Yeah.
Um, it's way more rewarding than it is stressful or hard. Like the reward I get from it when a joke lands, I hear the audience or anything like that is worth so much more than any of the trouble because it doesn't feel like it's work.
Yeah.
Uh, it doesn't, you know. I take that as a compliment when people say, "Man, that must be really hard." But for me, it's so rewarding that it doesn't feel hard at this point. It's still like work, and I still need to get better at it. But
What is the feeling that you get? I know that's a very weird question, but let's so
sure,
example, like if I play a sport, and obviously I do jiu-jitsu, MMA, blah blah blah. There's a certain feeling that you get when you win a fight, right? A jiu-jitsu match, right? It's
sure,
I mean, I'm like, I won. You get a little ego, right? It's a little different, and it's also, I guess that's an individual sport too. It's a little bit closer. Are you getting that similar feeling? Because obviously you do jiu-jitsu, and is it like
yeah.
knocking somebody out, or is it more like they like me, they really like me? Like,
It's okay. It's a lot of that for
yeah,
sure. Because I've always grown up as a kid wanting attention. I was a middle child and stuff, so always like grasping for the limelight and stuff. And I found that through comedy, so always making people laugh and everything. Like I get that huge dopamine rush when I make someone laugh, and so that's what drove me to comedy for sure.
okay.
But it is similar to, when a joke lands, it's like that first time you actually pull off an armbar because you can practice that as many times as you want, but when someone's fighting back against that, when you're actually sparring or rolling or something,
Now that you say it that
it's
way, it's very similar, right? Because those people,
yeah.
you're going to have some people in the audience are like, they don't want to laugh because they want to think, right? They're cool. Like, it doesn't make sense. You think if you show up, but I've seen it, right? You think people show up to a comedy show, they want to laugh, but I've seen people that are almost defiant. They almost
Oh
want to,
yeah.
yeah, you make me laugh, and they want to be. They'll sit there with their arms crossed, or really, that's the one version. The other version is the people that talk the whole time,
Hmm.
don't pay attention, or the people that actually talk to you, which is the rudest thing, right? I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I have not really dealt with hecklers that much, but I have dealt with people just talking and stuff like that. And I can understand, like, if it's a restaurant and you didn't know there was going to be comedy, maybe you don't know you're talking that loud. Maybe you don't care. You're like, I didn't come for this. I'm going to talk with my family or friends or whatever. I still get peeved, but
Yeah. Well,
you
you
know,
should. Yeah. No, it's. I mean, I was at a restaurant too, without naming names, and I'll just because you started it, I'll just keep it. Yeah, but
well, if you like the restaurant, you should shout them out for
yeah,
sure.
well, I do. So, what if you don't like the restaurant that I like? Then that's me.
Well,
Yeah.
that
Let's just
restaurant will like you, I would say.
let's just leave it. But anyway, you and I have talked about it before, but the table was right in front of the comedian, right? So like
Yes.
there's four
Yeah.
people eating while the comedian was literally maybe a foot or two from them, and they're taking like selfies the whole time with the comedian in the background, and just very rude. And to me, like as an outsider looking at them, and I couldn't help but see them because they're right underneath the
Hmm.
comedian, right? They were a show. Like we were all distracted. Like my table, I had like 15 people with me, and we were all talking about them. We're just like, what a bunch of douchebags and this and that. And it was kind of distracting from the comedy. Now, when a good comedian came up, which there was a couple, they're all pretty good, but there's a difference. Like when somebody just crushes it, and there was a couple that crushed it, where you totally all of a sudden those people just blended away. They're
Hmm.
like when you see a good photograph and there's a house in the background, but it's blurry, right? You know it's there,
Right.
you don't pay attention. That's how that was. Now, when people are just average, you paid more attention to them because it was like they're about the same. They're both equally like I
Hmm.
didn't know which one was going to draw my attention. But anyway, it was awful. And eventually a comedian got up, and again, I think this is the one that I told you about. Like he got up and called him out. He's like, I don't go to your house while you're having sex and start taking selfies. And I mean, this is my job, and whatever. And it didn't improve the situation. A lot of times something like that,
Sure.
but by that time they were so drunk that they felt, and that's, I think some of those people start feeling they're part of the show.
Yeah, they felt validated in their actions because I mean, that's what a lot of people think when they're drunk.
Yeah, and then the other side, I was in a show in Huntington, West Virginia. It's called the Funny Bone, and since they're a franchise, they would get all famous people, right? That's
Hmm.
Andy Dick came there and shut it down actually because that's where he said a bouncer grabbed his dick or something like that.
That's why the Funny Bone was shut down.
I think that's part of it, but I
Oh
think that's
man.
definitely some of it because he sued the bouncers, and I think I don't know how the lawsuit went, but also there, every night I would go, which I went a lot. There's like a handful of people there, so
Hmm.
that was probably the main thing. Is that just it was too big for what they weren't getting the money back in return. Maybe that wasn't a town for comedy, or they weren't advertising correctly. But anyway, I was there one night, and this girl kept making just a noise. She's like, "Whoop," like every 10 minutes, "Whoop." And so like through a bunch of they mentioned her a couple times, and then finally the last guy was like, yeah, like, look, we've had enough. Like if you do that again, we're gonna have a problem. So she stayed quiet probably like 30 minutes. Then sure enough, she wanted to make herself be known, and she did it again. And I mean, quite honestly, it was the funniest thing that I've seen in comedy in my life. That guy ripped her to shreds, was saying like, I hope you get raped by a horse and blah
Oh
blah.
jeez.
It was it was so horrible
Hmm.
and raunchy, which is my kind of comedy.
Right.
Me and my friend looked at each other and like, I can't believe we're witnessing this. And we're high-fiving each other. You know what I'm saying? It was so bad. And then at the end, he was like, now get the fuck out. And the bouncers came and grabbed her. So everybody's cheering. So it's probably the highlight of me watching comedy,
Hmm.
ironically, because I've seen some really good people. That's the main, like, I don't think that guy was that famous, but I remember that like it was yesterday. So, um, but anyway, we kind of got off topic, but it's good, I guess, in a way that you haven't had to deal with that. But also, I think that in a way it would be good because I have comedians that are on my Instagram or Facebook. Steve
Right.
Kettler is one where only videos that he posts are him destroying hecklers. That's pretty thin. And it's amazing because that's what he always says. Like, why try to outdo comedy with a guy that's paid to do comedy? You're going to lose every time, and he just
Right.
destroys them. And, I don't think as me, right? Like if I come up and I'm going to do my comedy at my gym, which is a safe space. That's also why I'm doing it there first. If I had hecklers now at my gym, it's a little different because I would just be like, let's fucking go. Let's do just like, let's put on some gloves, right? But I don't think that I'm actually that funny. So I wouldn't be able to address a heckler other than fuck you, stuff that's not cool.
Right.
It's
The
not
thing is, like, well, one, it's funny they said I'm the complete opposite. The more strangers, the better I feel.
you do well, and that makes sense because oddly, my other jobs other than and even the gym for that matter,
Mhm.
is public speaking, right? It's not comedy, but from being at the gym, sometimes I'm
Yeah,
funny,
yeah.
sometimes I'm not. I have to speak through the whole place, right? And sometimes I try to, even though we're there to work out, I'll say something, try to just be goofy. It might be stupid, like, right? It's more like picking on people that are there, right? It's because
Sure, yeah.
it's kind of you're
But I
probably.
mean, we always laughed. It was always like it felt like a bunch of friends having a good time.
And that's the thing, yeah. So, well, that's also probably what gave me the false sense of security to go out and try to tell a couple jokes. I'm like, yeah, I'm
I mean,
funny.
you gotta take the leap. It might work out. Let me like if it doesn't work out, then you can quit or you can just try again because maybe you're not the right audience. There's so many variables that if it doesn't work out, oh man, well I'll just try again. If it does work out, I mean you're gonna fall in love with it. You're gonna be like, oh okay, this is what it feels like, and I want more of that.
Well, that was my thought too. I was thinking that if I ever did like it, right, like I'd have an
Hmm.
opportunity to have that other adrenaline rush. That's kind of what we're always searching for, right? Most of us is something that makes you want, that scares you a little bit, makes you want to get up, makes you're uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So that was my thought. I don't think that it's going to be something where I would ever go somewhere like a bunch and make something out of it. Not like yourself or your brother, or nothing like that. I think it'd be more. Yeah, I'll tell you the other thing that I'm looking for, really, quite honestly, is I have a certain set of jokes that, as my other job besides the gym, um, is like hanging out with people and entertaining people as a
Hmm.
medical device salesman, right? So you've seen me in that field too, right? So I have to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
money.
That's how we met actually,
Yeah, and so
right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah, that's how it is.
in those settings, especially when I go to meetings, a lot of times all of a sudden that the spotlight seems like it falls on you, right? So I'm here kind of entertaining people. So it'd be nice to have a couple funny stories, right? So that, and that was my original thought, is like I would like to get a couple jokes that are real stories, because that's what was happening to me a lot. I had a couple stories that I'd say over and over, and then sometimes people would laugh like crazy. Sometimes I'd say the same story, but I promise you I said it a little bit different. I just didn't realize, because I'm not actually, at the time I wasn't making it a joke,
Yeah.
something I said a lot, because then what had happened is I'd get somewhere and somebody say, "Hey man, tell that story about when this guy did this," and I'd say it, and then maybe people wouldn't laugh as much. So I was like, "Oh man, I must have left something out, because I said that joke a month ago and the whole place was dying," right? Like, and so then that's kind of what got my eye, like I started thinking about it, because could be stories about my kids. I think my kids all say ball sack, and I had some pretty funny stories about them saying it on Thanksgiving. But anyway, that's what kind of got it started, besides the obvious, like we said, like the podcast that all of us jiu-jitsu people listen to. Is that I was like, certain stories I say all the time. I mean, I'd be nice to kind of like groom them and get them so good that every time I say it, like, I'd be like the guys in the movies where people are like, man, that guy's funny, or, whatever. But that was my thought, man. And do you do that as well? I know you said obviously you say some jokes to some coworkers or whatever, but is that another
Yeah.
you look at, like if you're at a party, you've got some stuff you can go to and
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have go-to jokes and groups and stuff like that, or I'm constantly trying to entertain. If I'm with a group of people, whether it's two, three, doesn't matter. I'm like, when can I land a joke here? And like, that's probably not a great, mind frame to have when you're trying to like talk to people and stuff. And I do consider myself an active listener, but at the same time, I'm like always trying to think of jokes as well with the group.
no, and I was just saying, because that's what the worst thing you want to do is listen to somebody talk and then think, when am I going to talk, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not what you're doing. I know what you're saying, because the same thing happens to me. It's like somebody will be saying stuff and I am listening, but I'm also waiting for my opening to tell my version of whatever we're talking, right? Or to get my
Yeah,
input.
and everyone, I think everyone does that. It's just you know, learn. I had to learn patience. To just be like, I'm gonna get to speak. Let me just soak in whatever they're saying for a while, and then I'll say my part, and it's okay. And if I don't get to say it, it's really not the end of the world.
No, because the worst thing is, right, and is people that over talk other people or interrupt,
Hmm.
right? You don't want to be that. And then the next step is, even though you didn't interrupt, you're actually not listening because you're just waiting for your turn to talk, right? So
Yeah.
it's a fine line.
Oh, absolutely. And it's super noticeable if you're the type of person that is just always wanting to talk and is waiting. Like people, like I don't think people are very good at hiding it.
No. Well, so then, all right. So would you consider yourself shy then, which is odd, right? Because you go on stage to
Right.
do comedy.
It depends. I mean, sometimes I find myself when there's a topic I don't know a whole lot about, I and there's like people talking about it. I'm like, I don't really know much about this. I'll usually stay quiet,
Mhm.
but to combat that, because I like being in the circle, I like to feel involved, and I like being involved in the group and in the conversation. If someone's talking about something they know a lot about and you don't, odds are they're passionate about it. So I've started just asking questions about it
Yeah.
because they feel like you're actively listening to them and interested in a way I am. I feel in the conversation, and then I can comment on things when they answer my questions.
No, no, that's perfect. Because the reason I mean, oddly enough, I think I'm a shy person, right? Like, so if I'm in the way I would say that is, which is odd, right? So if, especially my family that knows me, I speak every day. I have to go to the gym and I have to get in front of people I may or may not know. And sometimes I teach group seminars that have been as big as 200 people, and I don't know those people, but I'm perfectly comfortable talking to them and making
Hmm.
jokes and making people laugh, and I'm the center of attention. But it's also because I'm speaking about something I'm very knowledgeable about some comfortable, I am the center of attention because they paid for me to be there, or they've signed up for, like, you know what I mean? I'm more confident. However, if you put me in the same situation, it could just be 10 people and I went to a party where I knew nobody, I'd be so deathly uncomfortable, unfun to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just and I feel like that's my real personality, right? Like if you keep putting me in situations where I'm not, like, everybody's not coming in to speak to me, right? I'm coming in to speak to them. I'm so just uncomfortable. I'm just looking for my exit the whole time, which is weird, right? Like in your office would be example, like when I didn't know anybody,
Mm-hmm.
you know, let's say, like, I don't remember that version, so I'm going to make it up. But let's say that I went there. You know, you do a lunch, so you eat a lunch and you kind of have small talk with people, but all I'm thinking about is like getting out of there because I'm so uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And then but the second time it's better because now, like, maybe I met you or I met some other people that work there, so I'm like, you know, like I can ask them about their kids or how was their fishing trip, or, you know, stuff like that, right? So then it's better, right? But it takes me 2-3 times. Like, it's weird, right? Where other people just flourish in that situation. So I would consider myself a shy person, even though all my jobs are talking to people and
Right.
getting paid a lot of money to talk to people. Like, it, you know, it's very strange, but and that's why I've had that talk with my family actually one time, because I think, and I may have told you this, but you know, when we go on holidays, like I say, like Christmas or Thanksgiving, so we go to my wife's parents, or, you know, wife's family, right? So it's the same situation. I don't really know those people, and I do now because I've been around them, but it's still the same thing. Like, I don't feel like I know them, so I'm not super comfortable. So I just revert to my normal self, which is just sit there and watch TV and just not talk. And so, like, I had somebody came up to me one time, they said, like, why are you so rude? I mean, and they weren't being mean. They just said, because I was just like in a different room with like 20 people in the other room and not in, you know, and I said, well, I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to be. I'm just watching this football game or something, you know. And they're like, well, don't you get paid to talk to people? Isn't that your job? You know, which is medical device sales.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, yeah, that's the key phrase. I get paid to do that. I'm not getting paid to do this, which is very rude, right? So, and I didn't think of it as rude because I thought of it as matter of fact. And they walked away thinking, man, that guy's an asshole. And it is kind of rude to say without context. Like, I should have further went with it. But
Kind of odd. Oh, sorry.
no, it's my real personality. It's very strange, right? I'm uncomfortable around people, and unless I'm getting paid to be around people, then I'm not going to put the extra effort forward.
I have a friend that calls me. They'll call me. They're like, Matt, you're an extroverted introvert.
Yes, well, there we go. That's why I think you and I are friends. I feel
Mm-hmm.
I get the vibe from you that we have a similar personality, really, and that's why I'm drawn to you, not in a homosexual way.
Oh,
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I've got to put
I
that.
was kind of hoping for that actually, but
No, but I think that's why you're friends with people. Like, you're drawn to them because you see some similarity or some common ground.
absolutely. I have
You see that, you know.
one of my best friends is incredibly great in social situations. He's super intelligent. One of the smartest people I know. He's one of the people that whenever you're around, you feel smarter.
Yeah.
But then when he opens up, it's very clear that he's terrified almost in social situations where he thinks he's doing terribly and he has to perform, and sometimes he interrupts people, and then he thinks he's making an ass of himself. But like if you were to watch him, he doesn't seem like that at all.
Interesting. Yeah. And so do you try, because this is what I do. I have a similar friend. I've got a couple that if we went to a bar, they're the life of the party. Like, literally, I have a friend, you can go to any bar in Charleston and the whole bar is talking to him, the whole place, right? So the prime example, if I go into a bar that I've never been to, I don't talk to anybody. I'm a fly, like, you know, I mean, probably nobody really knows I'm there because I'm just
Oh
nervous.
God, I'm so nervous in bars. I can't do bars.
Yeah, well, and see, and so you know the feeling. We're exactly the same. Conversely, when he goes in, he owns the bar, and we've talked about, and he's even said that too, because he's put it into, and he's married and I'm married, so it's not like we're looking for girls, but he talked about it in that that way about when he was younger looking for, he's like, you've got to walk in and own the place, right? Like that's, a girl wants to see somebody that's confident, you know, that blah, blah, blah. And right. So he goes, he's like, when I walk in anywhere, I own the room. It's me. And he does. I mean, and it's a skill, and I'm always trying to learn so the day I die. So I loved hanging out with him and just watching. And then also the cool thing was at some point in my life of being his friend, I realized I could never be him. Right. So I was like, instead of trying to pretend I'm him and trying to mimic his behavior and walk into a bar and own the, I was like, you know what? I can never do that, but I can take little tidbits of what he's doing and maybe be funner, right? Maybe not
Yeah.
quiet or something like that. And
I
hopefully,
mean, but I guarantee there are people that think that about you as well. You just don't see it, because you are your biggest critic. You
yeah,
know, when you're doing well and you're being super social and people are clearly loving you, you're probably thinking to yourself, "Ah, I'm faking it." You know, they don't know that I'm faking it and stuff like that. It's like when any of us gets a compliment, like, "Oh, you know what? You're a good person." You're like, you think, or like you're attractive or something. Because you and I have this conversation before. It's like you kind of have the thought pops into your head, like, "Oh, why are these people lying to me?"
yeah.
It's not, "Oh, I should feel good now. Thank you for saying that." It's like, "Oh, I wonder why they're lying."
Well, that, yeah, they have a word for that. It's impostor syndrome, right? It's one word, but
Mm,
I also
yeah.
think even beyond that, it's you and I are really humble, right? But, you know, speaking of that word though, there's one, that word annoys me a lot. I don't know if you've ever thought about it, because I hate it when somebody receives a award that's clearly not a humble person and they go, I'm so humbled. I'm like, the fuck you are not humbled. You think you deserve this award. There's a difference, right? Like when I would
Yeah.
I would be like, I don't deserve this. There's somebody, that's what being humble is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how I permanently feel. I feel like an imposter of everything. Like when somebody says like, man, you're really good at this. Like, especially at my gym, right? So there's a certain aspect of owning a gym that has to go with marketing, right?
Mhm.
So like, you know, I'll have media come in that know nothing about jiu-jitsu, nothing about MMA or something. They'll come in and I'll be like, man, you're the man, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, there's a certain aspect that I know that comes with that,
Mhm.
meaning, you know, like I might play to a certain thing on the media because almost like we said, like when you go into a room, you want to own the room. Like I don't want to, like, if I'm trying to get people to come to my gym, I'm not going to be on Channel 8 News or our Channel 8 News and be like, well, you know, actually I suck. I'm just awful, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to
They got to play
sell
it.
your product.
Yeah. But
And in
see,
a way, you are the product. I mean, you're the teacher.
yeah. So, and that's the thing. I'm fully aware of those things. Obviously, we're talking about it right now, so I'm not
Mhm.
unaware, right?
Yeah.
So, in my head, the whole time I'm thinking I'm unworthy of this praise. However, I'm going to go with it because of whoever's watching this program. They expect a certain thing out of the instructor, right? Because conversely, in karate, those guys call them master somebody. They're master. They're like blah blah blah. And those guys are, we know. Look, and I'm not making fun of karate, but a lot of traditional martial arts guys are just awful, right? And there's a lot of that are good too. Same with jiu-jitsu. Look, I'm not picking on anybody. I just know there's still a lot of that old school martial arts people
Mhm.
that are 100% fake, right? And they call themselves master, and you got to bow to them, and you got to blah blah blah.
Right.
And then conversely, yeah, using that word too much, but the difference is, you know, we're not like that. I gotta prove myself every day on the mat, and you know, I know where I stand, and some good, some bad, and I know there's 100 people, thousands of people out there better than me, and um, so it's difficult. Is the point to get on there and say, yeah, I know this. I would never do that because I'm a humble person. So, like, you know, I mean, in a true sense of the word, I
Yeah.
I, I think you're the same, right? It's just an interesting phrase and an interesting.
Yeah. And it's so two things to add to that. The word humble, I think, has been contorted because it's only used as a compliment. Like being humble isn't always a good thing. It can wreck someone mentally. When someone can't feel good about themselves, can't take a compliment, can't really, really can't see themselves the way other people see them.
Yeah,
That's not a good thing. That's it makes you less self-aware because you feel more self-aware because you go, oh, I know the truth. I'm a piece of shit. Blah, blah, blah.
Is that similar to, would you say similar to having like body dysmorphia, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that we give ourselves too much credit for how well we know ourselves. And let me explain. Um, like, you know me from what I've put out there
Yeah.
to you and stuff. And I could say, like, I know myself better than you do. And it's true because I know a lot more variables that go into my personality than you do. That's just how it works. But I'm still just another person that knows me. And I don't think I know myself as well as I think I do. And I think that's the same for everyone. I think you're just another audience member to yourself a lot of the times.
That makes sense. No, it makes sense. Because it's interesting. Like, part of knowing yourself is how do you portray yourself to other people, right? There's a lot that goes into because what you just think inside your head is not actually the whole story, right? The
Right.
whole
I
thing
mean,
can be very complicated of us putting into words, right? But I mean, I know what you're saying. I mean,
it's a weird thing to say, like, you know yourself, but you don't. Like, it's a
no,
hard message to try and convey.
yeah, because also it's how you're judged by other people. Like, I could think I'm a really nice person, right?
Sure.
And then, but what have I done nice for all these other people? Somebody else could not view me as a nice person because they're like, well, when this other person's around, he does X, Y, Z for me. You don't do those things, right? So, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of variables, and that would be a rabbit hole we'd have a hard time going down, right? So, but I mean, to go back to the original thing, we kind of went on. All this will leads you to being a saying funny things, to being a comedian,
Right.
right?
Forgot what we were talking about. I was.
Yeah, but no, some of that. So some of that is, even though you're introvert, right? You've never had attention drawn to yourself, so now
Right.
attention is to you, and I agree with that. That's part of the reason I like teaching at the gym. I would say it's very similar, right? The attention's on me, where normally I'm an introvert and the attention's not on me, but
Hmm.
now I'm the center of attention because I have the knowledge, just like a comedian would have. Like, you have the jokes, right? We have to pay attention. They've put you up there, and this is what they've said is going to happen. You're going to tell jokes, and I'm going to listen. So, I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Just like if you come to the gym, you're Butch Hiles, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's Butch Hiles. He's going to teach me Jiu-Jitsu. Now teach me Jiu-Jitsu, right? Like, you could be like, this class sucks. You're a terrible teacher, or it's a good one, or, I mean, it's a kind of the same, other than I'm not trying to make you laugh. I'm just trying to teach you jiu-jitsu. It's, it's a little more black and white for me. But I think the reasons behind it are very similar. I think, right? Maybe. Well,
Yeah. It's a combination of seeking your self-worth from other people.
yeah.
Um, and that's not a bad thing. Everybody does it. We just all do it in different ways. My thing is making people laugh, or at least trying to. Yours
Well,
is teaching people a skill.
do you consider yourself, were you funny all aspects of your life from like being a kid on, or what, how would you?
I definitely think I'm more funny now that I'm constantly thinking about it and what I can turn into a joke. I definitely was that kid in high school, always trying to make a joke and be funny, but most of the time failing, most likely. Thinking back on like high school me, I cringe a lot. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that just wasn't funny and stuff like
Class
that.
clown, or are you just trying to be funny in group situations?
Definitely didn't have the balls to be the class clown. Like, I didn't like harassing teachers. Like, I was horribly fearful of getting in trouble with teachers. So I
No,
was usually pretty good
and
there.
there's a giant difference, right? Because some of those class clowns aren't necessarily funny.
No, they're big jerks,
Yes,
I would
yeah,
say.
for real.
I hate I hated some of the guys in high school because they were just especially as an adult now, looking back on it and knowing more about the world, like the guys that would make teachers cry and
Yeah,
stuff. I just, oof, bad. I went to this like, there was a kid who, he was a class clown. I won't mention his name, but absolutely the class clown. He got away with a lot of stuff too because he was. This is gonna sound like the edgy nerdy kid, but he was really good at sports. So he got away with a lot more because he was like one of the star players. And that's not me knocking on anyone that is very athletic or anything like that. It was just kind of an understood thing. But this kid, God, he took it way too far. He made teachers like cry. He actually he took a poop in a urinal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just I like making people laugh, and I did get in trouble for saying things for sure,
Mhm.
like one that I thought were funny or impromptu or just like something like that. I was definitely not a good kid, but my intention was never harassment of
Not to get, yeah, no,
the
there's,
staff or students.
yeah, no, I think so. Because I think going through my trying to find myself in rather middle school or high school, right? I've probably been everything, right? I'm a pretty big dude, so I've been good at sports, right? So I was that guy, but I was a class clown because I was trying to be funny, but probably going about it the wrong way. Definitely made some teachers cry. I remember making a substitute cry where she was just like, "I can't believe how bad you kids are," like literally cried. So I was everything, right? But some of it was just, I think also looking back, I'm just like you, I cringe, but also it's somewhat, I think that's what that is about, right? You're trying to find yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
You know,
being a kid in high school is tough.
it's very tough. And
And it's only getting tougher for these new kids that are in high school, all the social media and stuff. Like you can't, if you're getting bullied, it's hard to escape. And people could be like, well, just turn off your phone, turn off this thing. But like these kids are now being brought up in that world completely too.
and I've already thought about that for, I have three boys of varying ages, and that's what I've already thought, like, of all these times, right? Like,
Hmm.
don't know what it's like to grow up in this time. So it's going to be difficult to give them advice,
Yeah.
because also I know that the advice that I was given, which is very sound and a lot more simplistic at our time, because we didn't have all this crazy stuff, that I didn't listen to it anyway. Right. So this advice is more complex, and they're not going to listen anyway either. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And it's luck of the draw, man. Man, some of it is just how your brain chemistry reacts to certain things, right? Like, meaning
Hmm.
that somebody could say something awful to you or and you and I could react totally different to it, right? It could devastate your day and your week and your month.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'm a very sensitive person.
yeah, well, same here, honestly. I think, and again, that's why, I think we're friends, because I think a lot of these things are very similar, and right, I sense that from you. But it's the same. Like, I could have a perfect day where everything's going great,
Hmm.
um, and it's gotten worse over time, which is weird, right? The older I get, things are weirder. It's usually the opposite. The older you get, usually things roll off your back. But it's the opposite. Like, somebody can make a comment in the middle of the day that will absolutely just throw my day off and my brain off, where now the rest of my day is just, my interactions with people aren't as good. Everything's just messed up just because of some comment,
Yeah.
you know. And I think the reason it's worse for me as an adult is because I have less control, meaning that when I was younger, and I hate to keep going back to fighting, because actually was never an ass or nothing either, but like, let's say that you as an adult, you're like, um, f you and your kids, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that. So nothing
I'll
bad.
fuck you and your kids. That is what I would say.
So yeah, if you said that, like, you know, if this was in high school or middle school, I'd probably punch you. But now that we're adults, like, you can't really do half the stuff that we could do, right? So
No, and I mean, that's better for people like me who are complete smart Alex. I'm like,
well,
he
yeah,
probably won't punch me because it's illegal.
well, and that's true. And I think that I haven't found a way to deal with that inside my head yet, right? Because my
Mhm.
other frustrate used to be, so literally, this is my context. If you said something like that, I give you like three times, and that was, I thought that was pretty generous. I say, you don't say that again, or I'm going to hit you. Somebody would
Sure.
probably say it again, right? And I said, man, I told you not to say it again. If you say it one more time, that's all you got. And then somebody would do it again because they got away with it the second time. So then we'd fight.
Yeah.
Right?
I
That
mean,
got everything, and
I
then
definitely
I can't get
like.
rid of it.
Well, that's a good point, and I think a lot of those people just you don't learn um, that it's way better when you make a joke and people are laughing than you're
Yeah.
making a joke against somebody and it hurts the feelings. Because I definitely, I never beat anybody up, but I definitely said some things,
Yeah.
really, really mean things to kids. And I thought it was hilarious and kids laughed. But then, like, seeing what it would do to that, that other person,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
it did made me feel absolutely awful. And to now, I've completely switched as a person. Like, I'll tell jokes all the time and they'll be offensive and this stuff and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But if
Right.
it actually hurts somebody's feelings, like, I feel awful.
Yeah. No, and
You
I'm
know.
with you. And actually, maybe that's why things bother me more now. Maybe because the
Hmm.
same reason. I think one of the things come with age is that, right? That I used to laugh at things that I should have laughed at, right? And then with age, you're like, oh man, that you start taking everybody's feelings into account, right? And you're like, no, that's not cool. And then I guess, like I said, and then now it's the fact that when somebody does that, I also feel like they should know better. Why are they doing that? We're 40 years old, right? Like, why you do that? You know what I'm saying? And then so my next reaction is, I'm gonna kill you. And then my next reaction is I can't because I'll go to jail or I'll get
Yeah. And now you
killed.
have your kids to worry about, wife, business,
It's,
you know.
yeah, and that's every time I say that too, I always preface it with the fact that I'm not saying I'm gonna win. I'm just saying that nowadays when people fight, it's lots of things happen. Everybody sues each other because they're gonna sue for your dental bills, your hospital bills, and
Also,
then
it takes one good slip and you falling on your head on pavement to just ruin the rest of your life too.
and that's a prime example. I had an uncle that wasn't a fighter. He got into a fight in a bar or outside of a bar, punched the guy one time, and killed the guy. The guy fell. His head hit a curb on the street. That impact killed him. So then my uncle spent 5 years in jail and was like essentially a murderer, right? But he's like, that was a street fight. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't a fighter. It just so happened he landed the punch perfectly, knock the guy out with one punch. All that stuff
Does
had to be perfect, right? And the guy had to be in an exact spot that his head hit a curb and blah blah blah, right? But it all happened. It
I mean,
happened.
it's too late, once it happens.
Yeah, and then you can't go back because whatever they're fighting over probably was stupid, right? Like maybe you spilled a drink on somebody, or
Yeah,
I mean,
I
like
mean,
thinking, I need to
I've ne-
punish
I've
them.
not really been in many physical altercations because, one, I'm kind of a pussy. Two, but I'm also a big guy. I was a power lifter for years and stuff like that. So I'm like, if for some reason I do hurt someone, like, it's not good for me.
No,
And now I see it. If I get into a fight, I feel like a loser. Like, I couldn't solve something with my words,
yeah,
and then I had to resort to violence. I feel like an absolute idiot and a fool. Um, and also, like, if you get in a fight, and just in my opinion, whatever that problem is, it pales in comparison to the problem you have now. Or, like, the reaction should be equal to the cause,
yeah,
right? Like, I'm not saying, like, you shouldn't beat people up, and I won't be okay with it. Like, if somebody hurts someone close to you and you went and beat them up, yeah, you
okay,
know. But, like you said, spilling a drink on someone, okay, you ruined your shirt. People are drunk, whatever.
yeah.
It's
It's
you'll
interesting.
live.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting. It's a tough one because, but I think I lost most of my ego the older I got. Right,
Hmm.
everything I say, we're saying all this stuff, and it probably makes me sound like I'm tougher than I am. But that's the thing. I don't. Um, I don't fight with anyone. I mean, somebody can drink. They could literally. This is what happens to me. They could spill a drink on me right now, and I would apologize to them. Because and
Yeah.
that's literally how I start things. I think the older I get, because I know that what'll happen. Right? It escalates a certain way. If I go, "Oh, I'm sorry," even though I had nothing to do with it, they usually say, "Well, I'm sorry." Then it's over.
Mm.
But if somebody did that, but that's the thing, it could escalate because if I said I'm sorry, it had zero to do with it, and they're like, you should be. And I'm like, well, now we have a problem.
All right, fine. No, I mean, I in any confrontation, I just become the most sarcastic asshole
That's good. That's
ever.
good.
It's kind of like a defense mechanism,
No,
you know.
you might get away with it too. Like, and this might lead us into another thing. Is your, which I don't think it is, because I heard some of your comedy, and we'll play some on here. I was gonna say your comedy might be so highbrow that they don't know.
Oh my God. Everybody thinks it's gonna be like because
Doctor, you're Indian.
I'm Indian, and yeah, I'm a doctor's kid, and I make sure I'm well spoken to give off a good impression. But my comedy is lowbrow garbage just to make you just for a cheap laugh, and it works, and I
What I
do it.
remember is you talking about sharks and some shit. It's random, right? Well, I don't know if that's the one that we got on that we'll play here in a little bit.
Yeah, it might be. Oh, I hate listening to my own comedy, so I'm gonna grit my teeth. While you play it, can I turn my video off and just like, and then when you want to like talk about it, because I remember all the jokes. Don't worry. Just like raise your thumb when
Yeah.
you're like, let's talk about it, and I'm just gonna like kind of zone out a little bit. It gives me the heebie-jeebies,
All right.
or it
Well,
gives me the heebie-jeebies to watch someone watching my comedy. You know?
yeah. No, that's perfect. So I was looking for a good segue, but since that kind of led us into it, let's.
So let's do it. I'm gonna turn off my video.
All right.
And I'm still here though.
Okay. Now I've got.
Don't worry.
I've got to try to find you.
I'm just gonna kind of like not look at the screen. I won't look at your reaction. I'll say that.
All right.
It's weird. I'm fine with doing this in front of hundreds of people, and then, or like 100 people, and then when there's one person, I'm like, ooh.
So do you see this video?
Yeah, I can see it. Now it's very loud in my headphones. Is that how loud it's going to be when people listen to it?
I think so. I think so. Very loud for me too, but let's go with it.
Okay, sure. Just audience, make sure you are prepared to have your ears burned out. But if you thought my voice was annoying before, oh my God, are you in for a treat?
So I see this is 15 minutes. You want to stop it at a certain point, or do you want me just to stop it when?
If you want to stop and talk about a joke, let's stop it and talk about a joke. I have a much shorter one if you want to watch that second one I sent you.
We're into it now.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's see what happens. Man.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever think about how tofu and dildos are both meat substitutes? My mom's in the audience tonight. She's right over there. Get over for my mom. Can I put this here? Thank you, discount Ben Affleck.
So where is this at?
This is at a restaurant called The Lookout.
Okay, all right. So did that
And it was
like Ben Affleck?
yeah, that was definitely an improv joke that I thought would have been good, and thankfully it landed. I promise there are more people laughing, or at least it felt that way than because this was a big audience. There were at least 60 to 70 people in the audience. They had to start bringing in chairs from outside. They didn't come to see me, for sure. They just came because one of the guy in charge of comedy in West Virginia, BT, who is an incredibly funny person.
Yeah,
he
awesome,
worked really hard to get an audience there.
So speaking of that, not to get off topic since we got some stuff on here, real quick.
Sure.
You should help BT then, because I love that guy, right? And I don't know if he always has the motivation to keep going, right?
Yeah. I mean, he got me loving comedy. I have the love for comedy and this, if you call it a skill, the ability to do comedy as well as I do because of him. He kept on pushing me when I wanted to quit to keep going.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to write a note to myself I'm going to invite him Saturday, which is probably too short a notice, but I kind of forgot about my buddy BT. But
right.
So anyway,
well, we should do an episode with him sometime because he has a lot more insight on the topic than I do.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
been doing this
And that's
a long time.
you and I actually talked about doing a podcast together a couple times, but he smoked so much weed, I think he forgot. But that's his problem. But so, did you finish the first joke about the dildo and the tofu?
Yeah, that's my go-to is almost always to like, because the audience doesn't expect. Like sometimes I'll just look really awkward and keep my head down and like move a bar stool near the microphone where it makes a really annoying noise for like 20 seconds, and I'll just look up and be like, "You guys ever think about how tofu and dildos are both meat substitutes?" And it's such a dumb icebreaker that it works.
Yeah.
So it like it makes me comfortable, makes the audience comfortable. We're like, oh, okay, now I know you laughed at that. We get to know each other and let's tell some jokes.
All right. So there's your opener. All right. Let's continue on.
Okay, I'm going to go back into hiding.
All right.
Who's drinking tonight? Who's drinking a beverage? These guys are. My favorite beverage is Coca-Cola. It's good. So my mom's from a third world country, so I have to explain some of the jokes. I promise that won't get in the way. But don't you hate it when you order a Coke at a restaurant and they have to go like, oh, do you want Pepsi instead? It's kind of like asking your girlfriend, like, hey, can I have a blowjob? And she's like, how would I peg you instead? Mom, pegging is when.
All right, so can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't want to keep interrupting this, but do you feel like the crowd knew what pegging was right there?
I got the sense that like half of them did, and then a large portion was like, kind of an to that joke. Was that it's kind of a fake joke where that seems like it's going to be the punchline, but the real punchline is when I go, Mom, because I set it up to where I have to explain jokes to my mom, where then I have to explain what pegging is to my mom who's in the audience.
Did you have that planned already because you knew she was going to be there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, good job.
Yeah, and she's always a good sport with the jokes too, which
So
is
your mom
good.
Indian or no?
Yeah, she is from India.
I've never. Well, you said that actually on the video. I've never met her. That's why I was asking. I didn't. You said she was from a third world country. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I hope I don't offend any Indians watching this podcast.
I think they'll be okay. Indian people seem very.
Oh, we're really good at taking jokes. To be fair, the most laughs I get when I make fun of myself for being Indian is from other Indians.
Well, think about this, right? The Simpsons, right? They have the most offensive stereotypical character, right? Nobody ever says a word. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not Indian, so I'm not speaking for them because I don't know what you say behind the background, right? But nobody ever cares. Like, they're just like, whatever.
Well, I'm only one Indian, so I definitely won't try and speak for us all.
You should, because you're the only Indian.
I mean, I do think there are problems in Hollywood with the portrayal of Indians, but that's a topic for another episode.
Well, let's just keep making fun of them. All right. So,
oh no.
No, that. But anyway, that's very interesting because West Virginia is not a pegging crowd.
No,
so
they are certainly not.
Earlier,
it's hard to peg West Virginians for sure.
You don't go to the Bible Belt and start pegging people.
No, but I think you'll see, like, I don't know. Actually, I don't remember how this set went. I think that other set is actually better. But, like, I touch on topics that are definitely not for the West Virginia crowd, but I try to do it from a standpoint where it makes it look like I'm the idiot so that people can get a laugh about it. So people can laugh.
No, that's a good point because I think that's what you need to do. When I listen to some other comedians on podcasts and whatever, that's what they say. Nowadays, the key to setting stuff up, right, especially with the cancel culture and everybody being so offended, is to actually kind of set it up where you're almost making fun of yourself, or at least start the joke by making fun. Like if it's going to be a joke about women, then make fun of men for the first part, right? And then that way,
absolutely.
Feels like, okay, and making fun of everybody or something,
You know, and I have a love-hate relationship with cancel culture because I think there are things that people have gotten away with for too long. But I see a lot of instances where it goes too far, especially in comedy.
Yeah, well, it's perfect. That's as far as we're going to go into politics.
Yes, let's
move on. There you go.
So I have about, let me tell you, I have about 40 minutes just to let you know until I have to go.
Okay, so this is 14 more minutes, right? So
yeah.
All right, well, keep on me. All right, let's just play a little bit, and I'll stop cutting off as much.
So I just moved up here to Eagle View, so now I finally have a salary that can afford it. You are some bougie motherfuckers. The first fucking week I moved into here, I got an email that was sent out to everyone that said, please stop asking maintenance to change your light bulbs. You have to do that yourself. Are you fucking kidding me? Really, guys? How many of you does it take to change the light bulb? We don't fucking know. You gotta call some other person to do that. Jesus. God. Anyway, the maintenance people are really nice, and they do know how to spoon a light bulb. I do get nervous doing comedy in front of crowds. I had a friend who was like, oh, just imagine the audience naked. I think that's good advice, but I also think that's why your local priest keeps getting in trouble. I went to a Catholic school. I mean, I thought he would get in trouble with me, but this isn't good enough for daddy, father, whatever he wants to be called. The Bible and 50 Shades of Grey don't have much in common, except for someone getting tied down and nailed. It gets worse. If that's a line, I'm fucking sorry. I think it is fucked up that they nailed Jesus to a cross. Like he's a carpenter. And they nailed him to a cross. What a kick in the dick. That's what my dad's a doctor. That's like, I don't know, nailing into another patient. The analogy doesn't work. But you understand what I'm saying. Dick move. I think sharks get a bad rap. Sharks are cool. They're amazing creatures. But everyone's like, oh my god, a shark fucking attacked another guy. Well, yeah. They're the biggest fucking idiots in the ocean. Look at them. They're just going around like, all the time. They can't see. They can't see you. Look like food. They bite you. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm a fucking shark. I'll piss off. You know? It's so sad. And I was reading this amazing article about last year. Anyone else read this about this surfer? She was surfing. She got attacked by a shark, lost her arm, and went back to surfing. That's pretty impressive. That's courageous. That's like how I go back to Applebee's every week, despite the heartburn. It's half price apps after 9. Fuck yeah, I will suffer for that. So I get it. I've done a lot of traveling in my life. Yeah, I've always taken every opportunity I can to expand my horizons. I think it's really cool how you find different cultures in different areas. Like out west, you have a real craft beer culture. Down in New Orleans, you have like a big swimming culture. That one's not always optional, but it's there. In West Virginia, you have like a hunting culture, big hunting culture. Any hunters in here? Woo! Raise your hand if you're a hunter. You didn't need to raise your hand. I know. I'm just kidding. Do you hunt? What do you hunt besides undergrads at UC? Do you hunt deer, turkey, whatever's in your front lawn? I feel you. I don't hunt that much because it's rifle season like 2 weeks out of the year, or like bow season another 2 weeks. But it turns out it's my car season year round. And I murdered a being for the first time a couple weeks ago. It was so sad, but kind of fucking hilarious. Unfortunately, it wasn't fun, I think is what you call it. And man, I drive an FJ Cruiser, and this car fucking sucked it up like a shredder. Like how my mom shredded the prenup papers. Like they were just fucking done. I'm sorry. I know that was a low blow. I love you. You guys know the organization PETA? The people for like animal rights and stuff. Well, it came out a couple years ago that they ran kill shelters. And everyone was like, that's really fucked up. You're like promoting animal rights and saving animals, but you're killing your animals. And it was a big deal. Everyone's pissed about it. But I think that shows a double standard. Like we get pissed at PETA, but we turn a blind eye to Make-A-Wish. I think their numbers are like 100%. Speaking of kids, I don't have kids, but I have a lot of friends that have kids, and people are always giving you advice how to raise your kids and stuff. You got like other parents, doctors. I don't know if I trust doctors that much, like especially with vaccines. Where are my anti-vaxxers at? That was a fucking test. Fuck you. For those that don't know, these biggest assholes in the world. Let me explain this. So there are people that believe that the positive outcomes of vaccine are heavily outweighed by negative effects by chemicals that could give your child diseases that are usually given by genetic, or that are usually hereditary, like autism and whatnot, or genetic, sorry. Or in layman's terms, fucking idiots. I don't trust them. I don't trust them with anything. All right? Like, I'll trust a doctor that maybe believes that star signs affect your personality and stuff. I'll fucking do his job to fix his goddamn liver. But, like, I don't trust investing in anti-vaxxer for anything. Like, I'm a finance guy. If I went to an investor and was like, hey, I need you to invest this money, like, I don't know what industry is going to go positive from that besides like that tiny coffin industry. Or like, they can repurpose the boxes. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's a good example of a joke that definitely did not land how I wanted it to.
I think it's a dick move
It's
to
a
propose
tough
at
crowd,
weddings.
right?
You know, like I had a friend that proposed at a wedding. And it's like being at your grandma's funeral and deciding to like blow your brains out right there. Like, come on, it's about one party. You don't need to make it about yourself. One time I did want to blow my brains out is when I was texting my dad. And for reference, my dad is an old Indian man. And I texted my dad, hey, sorry I'm late for dinner. I was taking a nap. But I forgot to put a space between A and nap. And my phone noticed what up I am and changed it to anal. Usually isn't a problem. But yeah, so I texted my old Indian father, I'm sorry I was late for dinner. I was taking anal. That didn't go great for me. I got a very stern call right after that. What are you doing? What the fuck was that text about? You know, so that was a fun conversation. I love the gays as a straight man. I should be clear. Because they had really cool nicknames. You know, you got like Otter and Barry and Twig and Jonathan. You get like all these like cool shit. We don't have any of that. If you're straight, you're just straight. You know? And I was looking up because I was curious about the gays. And I was looking up what like the gay nicknames are. And I found one that's called Bear. A bear is someone that is big and hairy. I was like, oh, I'm a bear. I'm large, you know, mossy. And I asked a friend at work who is a gay, and he said, well, Matthew, you're not a bear. You're too young to be a bear. You know, you're an otter. I was like, I don't want to be an otter, or you're a cub. He said, you're a cub. I want to be a cub. That shit's gay. So like I said before, my parents came from a third world country, which is amazing. I think that's really cool that they did that. I'm very grateful I was born here because my name is Matthew and I sound like this, which is it's like 2 out of the 3 I need to thrive in West Virginia. That one's a little bit more obvious. But then people are always like, yeah, you must be so grateful. They came here for you. That's where I stopped them. They didn't come here for me. My dad didn't know me. My dad didn't think to himself, one day I'll have a fat son doing shitty comedy in West Virginia. Let's go, everybody. We have to go. Amazing. No. My dad didn't come here on a floating door fighting off sharks with his younger sibling for this piece of shit. And there I go, antagonizing sharks again. I'm part of the fucking problem, but I caught myself, and I expect you to as well. But, you know, my family, they're not from here, and sometimes the geography confuses them. Like, I texted my aunt, like, hey, I'm going to Ohio, so I'm in town for a couple of days, you know, which is right there. And then I got back, and the next time I saw her, I said, oh, how was your trip to Idaho? Did you have fun in Idaho? Oh, like, you know what? You have the spirit, though. You know? And I'm not even convinced Idaho is a real place. Have you ever heard anything of a fucking Idaho besides the name? Has anyone ever been to Idaho? Exactly. Fuck you. But sometimes it works in my favor, being, you know, the shade of mocha. My ex-girlfriend was a white girl, and before that, my other ex was a white girl, and before that, unsurprisingly, was another white girl. Turns out I followed a trend. But really, and my my most recent ex, she's like, you're kind of racist. Like, you only date white girls. I'm like, the white girls are the only girls that'll date me. Like, they're the only ones you can convince that this is still exotic. Like anything darker than my printer papers in between my sheets immediately. They're just cool with me. That's fine. Don't tell them there's 2 billion of me and that the body or dick ratio really isn't worth it. Like, it's a good deal I got with the whites. But I'm glad I do sound like this because it would be fucking hard, like picking up women, like at the bar, like if I was from India. Like imagine if I came up to you, I was like, hey, how you doing? Do you have me around there? Would you like to come back to my apartment? I have 900 thread count on my sheets. It's not anything anyone wants to hear. I had the pleasure of living abroad for a year. And for 4 months I was in Germany, which is a really cool place. Except they're really nice to you. Kind of like they're overcompensating for something. That might have happened a while ago. And no one really forgot about it. Yeah, it's odd. Because, that one thing happened. And it's kind of like how your roommate, like if he ate your leftovers and in the morning he's cooking eggs for you, this is really nice. But like, okay, let's imagine he didn't like eat your leftovers and he killed like 6 million Jews. That's a lot. That's really too many. You really shouldn't do that. That's really fucked up. It's like, Adolf, you killed 6 million Jews. Oh no, I killed 6 million Jews. No way. Like, that's bad. But unlike, us, we don't have a checkered past at all, right, America? Nothing bad ever happened here. This is probably what it was like when Europe called Christopher Columbus. He was like, hey, Chris, haven't seen you in a while. What's going on? Oh, nothing. What's up, Europe? Oh, did you find India? No, but we found this other land. It's fucking sweet, dude. Oh, is there gold? Fuck yeah, there's gold. There's so much gold. Oh, okay, well, what did you do about the native people? There weren't any. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you very much for having me.
Ooh, that was hard to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel weird. The whole
Yeah, it definitely makes me feel weird. Let me turn my video back on to watch it again. Also, because I thought it went a lot better, and now I'm watching it again, and going like, "Oh, that didn't go as well as I thought."
No, it was good. I wrote a couple notes down to ask you. Let me look here.
Yeah. What's your opinion? I'm totally honest. What'd you think?
No, I thought it was good. I thought kind of like we talked about earlier, right? So some jokes were not a hit in West Virginia, and some were, right?
Yeah, and the thing is like, I chalk it up to maybe that joke wasn't good for West Virginia, but at the end of the day, it's your audience that decides whether you're funny or not.
No, it's true. However, if you came in, for example, you said a hunting joke, right, or something.
Yeah.
But if you came in and said hunters suck, that's not a good joke for West Virginia. But if you said hunters suck in L.A.,
yeah, would probably go might go a lot better. And that set is actually a good example of a learning experience where all of those jokes I had done before, and at either one set or like a couple, they've all landed before.
Because I've heard those jokes, and that might be the one I watched. I watched a couple. I feel like that might be the one I watched the most. That might be. Is that the one that you won with, or no?
No, I have the one I won with somewhere recorded, but honestly, the second video I did send you, I think, is better. And as
That fuck.
yeah, I know we should have played that. It's much shorter. I think that one was only like 8 minutes or so.
Well, we're screwed now because I'm not.
Yeah.
Now since you got to go in like 30 minutes probably or something like that, right?
Yeah, 25 minutes. I have next time. Let's play that.
Yeah, no, it's good. So, a couple of questions I had here. I'm going to cut a couple out because I want to get to some other stuff. But
Sure.
So I noticed you had a set list, right?
Yeah, if you noticed, I was kind of peeking down every couple of minutes to make sure I didn't miss any jokes. And I usually I always miss one or two jokes. Something I always forget. There are some comedians. Actually, there are a lot of comedians in West Virginia, especially that can just go up and do 15 minutes and don't need to look at their notes or anything. Oh, my brother's one of those.
Are
He
your
doesn't.
jokes, though? Do they just say Bible joke? Like you don't write it all out, though, right?
No. I usually write like sentences, like the first sentence, or like I'll name some of the jokes, like my dad on the floating door or something like that. That was one of the jokes I told. For reference, my dad didn't actually come on a floating door. He was in an airplane, I'm sure.
Yeah. No. Well, I thought it was really good. That's part of comedy too, right? Is taking a grain of truth, right, and making.
Oh, lying a lot, yeah.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed too in comedy too, which is funny. A lot of Kevin Hart specials and other stuff I've watched where they're like, "I swear to God, this is true," right? Is that what I'm saying? They're always like, "This is a true story, y'all." Like, let me tell you about this, And so that kind of is probably a red flag that it's not, right?
Yeah, and it's like I'm not there to tell you true things. I'm there just to make you laugh. Sometimes it works, clearly. Sometimes it doesn't.
Well, you embellish on things, right, to make it fun. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's essentially some of the stuff that I'm going to say or have you work through here, and we'll go through this now, I guess, kind of a good segue, but
Yeah.
kind of embellishing on things and making it funnier, right? Like that's part of comedy is that there is a grain of truth in it, almost like a lie, right? Like there is a grain of truth, right? And then you build upon that grain of truth to make it whatever you want to make for that story or and that kind of goes back to what we said earlier. Like a lot of the stories that I would say in my other job, there's a grain. Like my son could say, "Hey, my favorite thing in the world is a ball sack," right? And he does say that, but then I can embellish upon that and where he said it and who he said it to. It could have been to a Catholic priest. That part's not true, right? And then and make a pretty funny story out of that or something.
Yeah, I mean, you could completely lie and be like, we were at after my grandmother's funeral, we were all. You could tell a story about how your kid kind of repeats anything you say, and he loves the word ball sack, and you guys maybe a close family friend died, and all the people were in a room and going around saying their favorite things about this person, and your kid wasn't paying attention, and he thought it was his turn, and he just shouted, my favorite thing is ball sack.
Yeah.
Like you completely fabricate a story for a punchline.
Well, and then instead of going down that road, because that is a true story, and one of the jokes that I was going to say during a thing, let's go down to what I'm actually going to say Saturday, and let's break it down because here's my thought process for the tens of 20 people that may be listening to this, is that I wanted to go through the process of a comedian, and every comedian's different, and you're one of them, is how you would do this. So for example, we already mentioned, I did not write anything down. I should have. There's other comedians that will write things down word for word in a paragraph in a story format and kind of break that down. So I did not, mostly because I'm lazy. So let's kind of go.
Yeah, that's bitten me in the ass a lot because I will like think of something in bed and be like, that's hilarious. I'll write it down in the morning or later and then completely just forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so today is Thursday, which is hard to remember during the COVID times as we are anyway. I know it's Thursday. I got off a Zoom meeting earlier today. So Saturday, so 2 days from now is my debut. So let's work through this process, and I'm going to have you make this funny.
Sure. I don't know if I can make it funny, but I'll do my best, and I'll tell you how I would tell the joke.
Okay. And this may work for some other people, and some other people may think, well, those two people are fucking stupid.
Yeah, I feel like you talked me up a lot, and then we watched that video. I'm sure everyone listening is like, oh, okay.
Well, if you thought that, just remember there's a video that's 100 times funnier that I did not play.
We'll play it next. Put the second video I sent you. Just put it link it in the comments or in the description.
Did you send it to me, by the way?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Okay, so even when you log off, maybe I'll play this at the end.
I would be eternally grateful if you did. That can be my my redemption.
Okay.
For the half of the audience that probably skipped ahead or logged off the podcast. The ones that stayed, it might be worth it, you know?
That might be good. All right. Well, okay, let me tell you the premise of my joke, and then I'm going to have you fix it up, set it up, but anything. Also remember, like, I know my my audience is my jiu-jitsu community. A lot of everybody there is either from my gym or affiliate gym. So therefore the jokes I'm going to tell are jiu-jitsu based, right? So I wouldn't tell this joke at the audience that we just watched because they wouldn't even know what we're talking about, right?
Right.
But anyway, so I'm going to adjust the cat. I'll just kind of tell you my thoughts, and I'll start the beginning. Again, I didn't write anything down. So anyway, so I'll go from here, and then I should have wrote some stuff down in a context, but I'll write it down from now, and Matt will help me. So maybe this will help some guys in the future that are trying to do the same thing. But anyway, so I'm going to, at some point during the thing, we have a live band. We're having it. Let me just set this whole thing up for everybody that's watching, because that'll make sense too. So Saturday, I am having all of our affiliate gyms get together. We're going to roll and do jiu-jitsu and do some promotions. I also have a live band booked at the end of that, because what I decided to do is we're going to have promotion. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to do jiu-jitsu from 1 to 3. We're going to roll. And then afterwards, I have a food truck coming in for food, alcohol. You know, we're going to drink, play some games, some cornhole, some different kind of, like, not board games because we're not weird, but some different stuff, just kind of keep things going on. And I have a live band playing that's going to play some 80s music. I originally did some things with people dressed in the 80s. Just kind of scrapped that because we're too manly for that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So we're going to move on. But essentially, anyway, so it's a party that's for people that do jiu-jitsu and everything. And also, really the theme is, look, we went through COVID, the coronavirus, and there's a lot of people that, and Matt is actually one of them, that said, hey, look, I know we're going through financial hardships. All of us are. But I'm going to keep my membership going to make sure the gym's here when I come back. And even for Matt's sake, is Matt may or may not come back because he's probably going to Germany. And we all thought this virus would be over by now, right? And it's not.
Yeah.
One could argue it's 10 times worse than it was a couple months, right? Depending on what side of the political spectrum you're on. So it's a problem. The point is, this is to celebrate all the people that continue to help us. And so this is me giving back. And like I said, I'm spending a lot of money paying for this food truck and this band. And
I feel like you've spent more money on it than we gave you. So
you definitely did. And considering that I qualified for 0 loans, for anybody that talks about these small business loans, I just want to say that they don't apply to most people. I am on that subject that if you don't have employees, which is me, you apply for 0 loans. So therefore, I'm only alive from guys like Matt Saldanha and stuff. So, but the good thing is, as we mentioned several times, my other job is medical device sales. So that's why we're still alive, because I didn't expect, this is not a job. So anyway, the point is, that is why we're doing the party. This is mostly jiu-jitsu guys. So I'm going to enter, I'm going to come up, and I'm going to thank everybody for being there. I'm also going to post this after I do it, so everybody knows.
Right. Yeah. So we can't, no spoilers for the party.
Also, if it terribly sucks, everybody can blame you, because I can say, hey man, like, I was going to do it a different way, but Matt really made me change it.
Yeah. So if it's terrible, they're going to, like, watch his podcast and then see my set and be like, yeah, why'd you take advice from him? And if it's good, though, it just makes us both look good. Yeah.
No, it's going to all go to you. You get credit, or I'm pretty much faultless in this whole thing.
That's true. It is the weight of your comedic career now rests on my shoulders.
Yes. All right. So now that build up, I'm going to say, hey, listen, again, it's not written down, so I'm making this all up as I go. I'll say, hey, thank you for everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. You know, jiu-jitsu is a certain thing, blah, blah, blah. Talk about jiu-jitsu, right? But I want to say that I started this gym in 1998. The way that I started this was I was in my basement rolling with a guy, just a small group of us. We got ourselves a north-south position. Again, if don't do jiu-jitsu, you're not going to understand that basically is a 69. So I put him in a triangle. He put me in a triangle, which it does happen, and that is what happened. So this part is a true story. So he put me in a triangle. I put him in a triangle. I can't remember. I think I was on top. He was on the bottom. But anyway, so we're both in a triangle. A lot of groaning. Again, this part is all true story. I said, "Hey, man, let's stop." And he said, "Why, man? You're going to tap?" Because I was a little bit better than him at the time. There's, a small group of us. And I said, "No, I'm not going to tap. But here's the thing. I don't want my wife to come down and hear us grunting and groaning in the basement with us in 69 position because it's not going to go well." He's like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, okay." So it was at that moment I decided that I needed to start a gym, the moment that I was in a 69 position. So at that moment, I was like, I could bring this to the masses. So I thought through all the things, and I thought of all the great things that we could do. And for all you guys that do jiu-jitsu, I thought we could do the Brazilian teabag. And here's the part I want you to work through with me, Matt. Look, obviously it's not that funny, but it's somewhat. I can work on it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Should I have two people work through the positions, or should I describe them on stage, or what?
I think you'd be okay with describing them, but I think it would be really funny if they were in that position and you just made them hold it for the whole joke.
Yes.
And like seeing them struggle would be part of it. And you can also add parts to the joke where like you were doing this in the basement with a guy and you remember thinking to yourself like, man, this is really gay, but like we can make some money off of this.
Perfect. All right. So that's what I'm looking for.
And you could also add a line that's like, now if my wife walks on me, I'm like, it's not gay, it's a sport.
Yes. Yeah. All right. I'm writing this down.
Good. So definitely write it down.
Right. All right. So we can make some money off this. Oh, and so exactly. So this is good why I wrote it up, because all these times I've had different ideas and I didn't write them down. And this is a prime example of why, because I did not set that joke up correctly. And I didn't really add things, but I wanted to write all the reasons that what we do in jiu-jitsu, no matter how gay it is not gay. Right.
Well, you could actually make that the joke that jiu-jitsu guys are, it's funny because they spend so much time clarifying that they're not gay while they're doing the gayest shit out there.
Yes. All right. So that's perfect. And actually this is great because that's part of being a joke is, right, you take a topic.
Yeah.
And there's not just one punchline, right? You kind of milk that topic and get as many
exactly
out of it, right?
And it's a good way to kind of like poke at people that there's a little bit of truth to it, because like I don't care if someone calls me gay. I have gay friends. I don't see any negative about it, but because I love the jiu-jitsu guys, but they're and I love the guys at the gym, but there is it's a topic where they don't want to be seen as gay, like that. So if you make those jokes, it's like you're making fun of all of them, but you can laugh at yourself, because I think it's good to laugh at yourself and point out to people that they should laugh at themselves.
And that's what I want too, right? You would argue on one side that the people fighting MMA and doing all this stuff are the manliest men, right? They're jacked,
right?
They're in shape, they're wearing tap out gear or whatever. I know that's a joke in itself, but I'm saying, like, these are supposedly the manliest of men, but yet they're getting in north-south/69.
Yeah, they're basically just aggressively cuddling each other.
Yeah, well, stack pass, right, which is, missionary position with the leg. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do, is kind of go through, which I think you're doing a better job with words, but I wanted to, in my mind, I was thinking I could almost have somebody demonstrate all of the most homosexual positions, right?
Right. And be like, we don't call it doggy style, we call it bear style here, because we're men.
Taking the back, right? Because we call that, if you turtled up and I took your back, that is doggy style.
That's essentially doggy style.
Yeah. Exactly. So you're doing a better job with words than I would do. Nope. Say, buddy. but you're doing a better job with words, which I think that's why I'm talking to you about that. So that's
Well, I
better.
appreciate the compliment.
No, so that's better than having two people up there. So I like where we're heading. So like, I think that I'll use that line. So I determined in the basement, I'm like, man, this is really gay, but hey, I can make some money off this. Maybe I should start a gym. Right. And
Yeah.
that would lead me into, so if I took this to the masses, then, then where should I go from there? Because I used to, and you've been there before, I've had a ton of jokes that were, we say them all the time. I'm like, look, man, this is incredibly gay, but not only if we look each other in the eyes.
And that's a good joke to say to your jiu-jitsu crowd, because they all know, all that stuff too. And it's a funny joke. It's only gay if we look each other in the eyes.
Sorry, keeping my 4-year-old quiet there.
No, just,
We only got a couple minutes, so I don't want to say
that's fine.
up and shut
But
it up.
you could bring it into that whole joke and leading up to you starting a gym, building the masses, and then you can go into the joke and be like, but I didn't think the clientele, or like talk about the clientele you got and be like, man, for a bunch of guys that need to talk about how manly and not gay they are, they do some of the gayest shit here.
Okay.
Something like that. So it leads in well to the rest of the joke, and then positions, and you explaining how it's super gay and that we are the gayest men for sure.
All right. Well, that's actually better than the angle I was going, because I was going to go about the list of, we have like an unwritten rule, and I can't even remember half of them, of like, it's only gay if you look each other in the eyes. It's only gay if you do this. It's only gay if you do that. You know what I'm saying? And I was going to try to look that up and try to remember, because we joke about that, right? But no, that sounds better if you're like, yeah. Again, if I was like, hey, this is really gay, but hey, we can make some money off this. And then once I got to the gym, I didn't realize that this bunch of manly men, they were so interested in the gayest positions ever known to man, which would be, and then maybe go through the positions, or are you thinking a different way?
No, you could definitely go through the positions. I mean, I like the line, because it kind of will catch the audience off guard. For a bunch of men that need to talk about how not gay they are, they do the gayest things here.
Okay.
And then go into but that's just me. That's just the line I think that I like more. Also, it's probably a little bit of my hubris, because I'm the one who came up with that one.
Yeah.
So
so a bunch of men that talk about how manly they are.
Is
that what you're saying? Talk about how?
Yeah, or like for a bunch of men that feel the need to address that they're not gay, they do some of the gayest things here.
Okay, and then go into the positions.
I think that'd be pretty funny.
Okay. Sorry, it takes me so long to write down.
You're fine.
So then at that point, I would say, and that was kind of what leads me into that part. Like, should I have somebody go through all the positions? Because as you know, in jiu-jitsu, we've got, and I've had a list, which I was going to look back up before Saturday, but the Brazilian tea bag, which is essentially an American tea bag. You know what I'm saying? I could go through, north-south position, stack pass. There's a love position. Would that, because we're talking to jiu-jitsu crowd. We're not talking, right? So every funny gay position that I mentioned, they should laugh, right? You would think they're like, yeah. That's super.
What gay. I think, which is kind of like, because I try to stay away from. I mean, in my audiences, like, I try usually to stay away from jokes I think might be race related or homophobic because I want people to laugh at the ridiculousness of homophobia and racism, not
Yeah.
to confirm someone's homophobia and racism.
Yeah. I
But
agree, but we're in. Yeah.
you gotta play to
Yeah.
your audience.
Yeah.
So let's make some homophobic jerks laugh, my dude.
No,
So I
but they can't. But actually, it kind of goes what you're saying. They can't be homophobic. That's the thing, because I'm trying to bring it back, because you cannot be homophobic and
right.
anti-gay if you're doing such gay stuff.
Yeah. No, and it also should be something to point out. I came into your gym thinking I would meet a certain type of people, and I met some of the most open, good-natured,
Yeah.
like totally progressive kind, like fine
Gay.
with anything guys,
Yeah,
because we're all gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I just thought of something really funny you could do. Let me tell you before. So you could do the whole it's only gay if you make eye contact. But you could start the joke off with like jiu-jitsu is really close to being gay. There's one reason it's not. And then actually put someone in a position and then be like, look, this isn't gay. But as soon as I make eye contact and then actually make eye contact with the partner you're doing it to, now it's gay. Or
Yeah.
something like that. So you're like
Well, that's
showing, because you have an opportunity here to really act out the joke.
So would you bring up another person, or would you just kind of make it happen by yourself, like showing?
Yeah, I would like
an air guitar.
well, like you already have those two people on the ground showing positions, and then you'd be like, look, jujitsu's not gay for one reason, and it's well, you know what? Just let me show you. Here, get off of him, and then you put him in the teabag position or something, be like, and look up and be to the audience, be like, all right, it's not gay right now. But
Yeah.
as soon as they make eye contact and then just look him right in the eye and stare at him for a good 10 seconds because he'll start laughing, whoever your partner is.
Yeah.
He'll start laughing and then everyone else will start laughing. And then you go, now it's gay.
Okay. I'm writing it down. No, that's good. See, that's why I have you, a real comedian.
I mean, I'm a real life boy for sure.
So I guess so we're on the right track, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
it would be nice. Hopefully this happens, but if it doesn't happen, I'll play it some other time. But it would be nice if I have somebody record this and I add it to the end of the video, right? And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'd love to watch. I really wish I could be there because I wanted to do some stand up there as well. Because God, it's been so long since I've gotten to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if your dinner or whatever you got going on, it gets over soon enough. I mean, hopefully we'll be there most of the night. I don't know. You're going to miss all this part, but, you know, we'll figure it out.
Fortunately.
Later, and I'd be like, oh, you drunk assholes, listen, we have somebody.
Well, remember the last time I tried to hang out with you when you were already drunk? Oh, of course you don't.
No, of course not.
I don't know.
Sweet.
Is it okay if I tell this story on the podcast?
You can tell any story that involves me.
Oh, okay. It was just like, you're like, hey, man, we're having a great time. Why don't you come hang out? And I was like, oh, let me get dressed. Because, like, I was like, it wasn't even that late. It was like 9 o'clock. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'd love to go hang out. Like, I'm free tonight. So I got dressed. I'm like, okay, where are you guys at? And you just texted back the restaurant.
I do remember. That was like my birthday, right?
Yeah. And I was like, and I Googled the restaurant. I was like, he can't be that, like, is he that drunk or dumb that he would just say the restaurant? No. I think I knew. I was like, maybe it's a new place just with a on the nose name. And I couldn't find it. So I was like, okay, man, which restaurant? And then it was just random letters after that a couple times. And I was like, all right, well, I'll get back to my pajamas.
Yeah, apparently that's what happens when you mix brown liquor with clear liquor for me. Is you random letters, which doesn't happen. So I pride myself because I'm a pretty big guy that I can drink and not get drunk, which is 99% of the time. However, if I mix clear liquor with brown liquor, I will be texting Matt things like that. So
yeah, and hey, I've more power to. I am such a lightweight, which I kind of like because it's cheap for me to drink. So I would. If I drank as half of the amount of you, I would kill myself.
And that's a good point. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody wants to brag. It's only something to brag about if you're in like high school or college or something. As an adult, it's a curse, right? Like you're like, hey,
Yeah.
he
I
could,
love being a lightweight.
yeah,
It's fantastic because I'm trying to lose weight. So I'm really not drinking right now, but if I do drink, I can just drink one or two drinks and it's not that and it's cheaper to drink
yeah.
and
No, I'm with you, man. I've been drinking today since
mhm.
June. Our time. I'm on. Yes, I'm on Zoom meetings for work from 11 a.m. until 5 or 6 p.m.
Mhm.
So I drink the entire time on the Zoom meeting until now, which I've been drinking a lot more since Matt and I have been on here, but I'm not where I should be considering I've been drinking since 11 or noon, right? So that's the thing. Like that's why people want to brag about it. And look, if I was in high school, it'd be something I'd brag about. I guess I don't know if high school girls are more impressed than normal people. I'm sure they're not, but that's what you think when you're in high school. Right now, it's like, well, here, yeah, it takes me $200 or $300 to get drunk, where it takes somebody else like $20, right?
I
Like
cannot imagine spending that amount of money on alcohol like out at a
it's awful.
bar.
Yeah, it's awful. It's not a good superpower. I'd rather have a giant dick or something. And it's not drinking ability. So I don't
Well,
have it.
from what I've heard from the jiu-jitsu guys, you have a nice penis.
Well, that'll all be part of the joke. As long as we don't look each other in the eyes, it's not gay at all, right? And
I
so,
mean,
what?
that's why I try to make eye contact. That's the only time I ever won during a spar was making the eye contact and winking.
And freak them out, everybody out.
Yeah.
This is a prime example. If I gave this same joke context to like LGBTQ community, they'd kill me.
Yeah.
However, it's a bunch of so-called manly men. This will be really funny, and that's
Yeah.
the kind of the point. And quite honestly, just so people know, and this is true, at our gym we actually do have a couple of gay guys that train with us. I'm obviously not going to say their name, because it is still secret. And it is true. I know only because my wife and I went to a couple of gay bars just for fun with other
Hmm.
couples, and happened to run in people at the gym. And so then they're like, oh shit, like there you are. And I was like, well, yeah, like it's fine. I won't tell anybody. And I have not. But it's an interesting thing, right? Because it's funny.
With
Because,
it's yeah, and it is sad because like we're making jokes like all these manly men, but we do gay
yes,
stuff,
yeah.
and it's sad because like I know too many people that think like to be a man you can't like if you were gay that automatically means you're not a real man, and I think it's absolute bullshit, very
Well,
derogatory. It's like telling me like oh to be a real American you gotta be white, you know?
yeah, no, that's a good point. And so, speaking of the humble part, we never really talk about defecation, or saying like not the
True,
shit
we
part,
haven't talked about defecation yet.
not the shitting part, but
I thought you weren't going to
um,
tell that story about me.
not
Yeah.
defecating. But I think I make more jokes about that just to be, like, I mean, just because, like, break that all down. Like, we're not the most manliest people. We're not even trying to be. I mean, we do things that are, you need to get off your high horse. That's kind of the point of this joke, is that the
Yeah.
manly as you're trying to be, we do more homosexual stuff than homosexuals. Like, we truly do. I
It's
mean,
true. And I think it's good. I love jokes that like attack the norm. Like kind of like the whole joke is like can all the way I see it and the way I would tell it, and you don't have to tell it the same thing. It's kind of like a kind of telling the audience how dumb it is to have addition for manliness and stuff like that.
no, it's perfect. I think actually you made me think of it in a different way. I was on the right track, but I
Hmm.
think the wording, if I can remember to do it and write it down and actually not be lazy before Saturday comes.
Yeah,
You know,
please write it down because if you do well, it makes me look good. It might make up for the 15-minute clip you just had to show on your
yeah,
podcast.
no, I think it'll be perfect, man. I think it'll be good because this is part of the process, right? I have an
Hmm.
ideal. You're helping me create it. So the difference is normally I'd take that ideal, put it in front of an audience. If it failed, I'd rewrite it. And so you've kind of helped me. You're my audience, right? And I took an ideal and I didn't write it down because I was lazy. So you kind of helped me fix it. So it's the other thing is once we get off this call, I'm still going to have to put it in my words and still put things into my thought process.
Yeah, I practice it.
You're right.
Practice it out loud, whether it's to yourself or just someone else, someone that you're comfortable with. Practice it out loud.
Well, yeah, and I will before Saturday comes. I got tomorrow, like a 1 day. So after I get off my Zoom meetings for my other job, all night, I'll kind of write some stuff out because I also don't. Here's the difference between you and I. I'm not doing 15 minutes, which 15 minutes is a long time. People don't really think about it, right?
It is horribly long. I usually my better sets are usually 5 to 8 minutes. Wink, wink. Play that second video.
Yeah,
which is shorter. But it's a long haul for sure.
And that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to my object really. Also, the other thing is we got to remember that this is not a comedy show, right? So we're coming together.
Yeah. And I think that's your best opportunity to make people laugh is that when people go to a comedy show, they're expecting to laugh.
Exactly.
They kind of have a barrier like, okay, what's going to be funny? But I mean, one, you're going to be surrounded by people that adore you. Two, those people aren't suspecting comedy, so that's just like a nice slice that they get with that. So you have the perfect audience for you, man. And I don't doubt you're going to kill it. I think you're going to be really funny because you are really funny.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, and that's also why I chose the vagina way to go. I did it in front of my own gym, in front of people that expect nothing. Listen. I would have probably chose a different topic and a different option at some point. Meaning that you and I have talked about this for a long time. COVID got in the way. You're not doing comedy. Nobody's doing comedy.
No, I'm not doing comedy or anything. And it kills me because there's nothing more than I want to do. And I have to tell so many people that I can't make it to things and stuff. And everyone thinks I'm just being a prude. But
yeah, we're just in a weird time. And that kind of, I'm just wanting to cross it off a list that I don't have. I don't have a bucket list, but I want to cross it off my head. Here's what I want to cross. Like the reason I tell people stuff, just like you and everybody else, right? If you say you're going to lose weight, you make yourself accountable, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I did. I said, hey, I'm going to, at some point in my life, do a comedy, an open mic is what I think I said. And so then COVID hit. So what I'm afraid of is that if I don't hit the iron when it's hot, which has not been hot, it's not even lukewarm, I'm never going to do it, right?
Well, I hope you enjoy it because I want you to come out with us and do it some more to open mics and stuff. We'd love to have you.
Dude, I'll think of some non-jiu-jitsu jokes at some point that have nothing to do with homosexuality.
You can absolutely spin that bit for a non-jiu-jitsu audience.
Yeah, especially if you had somebody demonstrating what I'm talking about, right? Like, here's this position. Oh shit! Like if they saw half the stuff that you and I do,
right? They'd probably ask why don't they have clothes on first.
Yeah, they would be very confused, like why we're naked and we shave.
I'd ask why they're in my bedroom.
Yeah,
well, that'd be my first question.
And everybody at the gym are like, look, they're not looking each other in the eye, so it's fine, right?
My dick's in his ass. Yeah. But my eyes aren't.
But he's not looking. He's not looking at them all. It's fine, right? So, that gives me a good start. And
sorry, I just thought of a good phrase. I don't know if you can fit this in, but lock your thighs, not your eyes.
Yeah.
We always say that to each other. We lock our thighs, not your eyes.
Yeah. Let me think. Where would I put that at? I don't know.
No idea. But it's kind of a funny thing to say. If you can find a place for it, I think that's funny. Also, I'm tooting my own horn this whole time.
Yeah, well, it's good. So my plan is I'm going to have my wife record this, and whether it goes good or not, it's only 5 minutes at the most, probably 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to go way faster than you think it is. I've done sets that I thought were like 4 to 5 minutes long, and it was over in 2.5, 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen here. But we can throw it in this little podcast thing, and people can see. Actually, it'd be probably more beneficial if it sucks, just so people can laugh, right? You're probably gonna kind of be funny that way.
If you don't add the second video I sent you to the end of this podcast, which you don't have to do, if it's funny, definitely add your stand-up from
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
party.
add them both. Like, don't worry, we're good.
Oh.
We're gonna add them both. I'm gonna, and we'll get to that now. So, first of all, let me just say this, so I can let you go. Thank you for all that insight. For people that don't know, which is everybody, this was only planned. Matt and I were only getting together to help my this routine on Saturday. So I sprung it on him at the last minute. Let's walk through the whole process with a world champion comedian
Oh God.
such as himself.
Oh man. There's
So
so
this
much
actually works out.
correcting to do.
I think this will be good because they'll get to see us work through the process. So if there's anybody that has the ambition to do what you do,
Anybody, clearly anybody can do it. It's the last piece of advice actually, that I should say before I forget, take your time. You're gonna find yourself speaking quickly and wanting to go through it. Take your time, take some pauses. If they're not laughing, that's fine. They will. It's better to just take your time with it, make sure you hit all the notes you want, than just to get it over with.
and I think that's good advice too. I think that's kind of my thought process is I'm going to start off with a story, and that's how I'm going to get into that. But just how I'm going to thank everybody for being there, and we're all in the same jiu-jitsu path, right? And I'm going to thank them for doing all that stuff and for being at our event on that day, and then work into the story. So I'm going to try to do my best to keep it calm and almost conversational, right? And then my goal is instead of, because it's not, right, it's not a stand-up thing, but my goal is just to say something funny during that, like thanking everybody to be there, and then kind of telling my story. Say, hey, you know, I didn't even think we'd be here. I started this in 1998, and here we are. And then kind of talking through that story, and then trying to make something funny of it, right? Which I think I'll get a couple chuckles. Hopefully it's a little bit better than that, but that might start the embers burning for something more, and it may not. It also may, you know, look, my wife and I just went and learned how to fly planes, and discovered, we
That's
don't
pretty
like it.
cool.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
cool. Yeah. I mean, it is cool because I thought it was cool. I was like, the reason I'm doing this, I was like looking for something to do, and I thought, you know, that'd be cool. What if I took flight lessons and learn how to fly a plane, and then theoretically I could buy for a plane with a bunch of friends of mine, and we all could share it and take each other places. You know, I had all this thing, and then I went up in a plane and realized I don't like it at all. It's not like I'm afraid of heights, but the heights didn't bother me. It just wasn't fun. I just didn't understand it. Like, don't understand directions. Imagine if you don't understand directions on a fucking road in a car, then understanding directions in an airplane is far worse. When they're like, hey, just follow 119. I'm like, where the fuck's 119? You're just like, what's right there? You see Walmart? No, I don't see fucking Walmart. I'm up here. Like, no, I don't understand. You know, it's like, I did not I don't understand directions. I don't understand going north. I don't go, you know, like the whole thing was not fun. My wife felt the same. It wasn't for us, right? So this could be another situation where it's either good or it's either bad. I could say, you know, look, I wanted to try it. It was great. Maybe a couple of people laughed. I can build upon that. Or, yeah, I'm not a comedian, which I'm not, right? So then, yeah, I'll stick to jiu-jitsu and talking to Matt on Zoom. Right. We're good. But that's why we're doing this. So anyway, so we can wrap this up because I know you got stuff to do. Like, I appreciate all that. Like, thank you for everything.
Thank you for having me on. I always love talking to you, man. I wish we could hang out more.
Oh, well, just if you're a white person, you can worry about this disease a lot less or something. I know. It's all damn brown people get sick a lot worse. No.
Oh, I hate them. You're right.
Yeah, it's all good. No, I appreciate that. It gives me some stuff to do. I'm going to go between here and tomorrow and kind of work on that some more. But you're going to be the backbone of anything I do. I will post this video. Hopefully it'll be a surprise to you. Maybe some people laugh. So thank you. Let's do this. Let's close it out so that what are you doing after this, by the way?
I have another meeting and I have some studying to do that, where'd you go?
Oh, I'm trying to share your other video.
Aw.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we'll try this if I can figure out how to do that.
Okay. Well, like I said, again, I didn't know that other one was gonna be so bad. So if it's not good, we'll just cut it since it's at the end, right? You can just do
Okay.
that.
Yeah, we can. Let's find.
Cool.
So far,
I sent it in. I sent it in an email.
yeah. So far, I can't find my email. All right, there
What
we
is
go.
BNE? Big Nipples Incorporated? Is that?
Yeah, it's yes. Actually, I can't find it. Why am I looking at her email?
Rachel. Oh, Rachel sent you a message.
Yeah.
Who is Stuart Jew? I'm sorry, I really shouldn't be. So you got an email from a guy. We should probably cut that. We should probably
So,
not.
you send this on Messenger?
I sent.
You know
Hold
that
on.
I'm not logged into Facebook, so like.
No, I sent it as an email. I thought it said should be video 2 is the heading. No, go down 2 below
Oh,
that,
there you go.
next to Dana BH69.
Don't judge my connections. All right.
I'm not judging. I'm a little curious, but definitely not judging.
All right. Oh, there's BT. I saw him. All right.
Oh
How did
God,
this, buddy?
hold on. This is way longer than I thought it was. This is 14 minutes long.
14 minutes.
Working hard for you
All right, buddy. I'll see you if you got to go.
So please make sure you.
I can start. I need to do a little bit of work, but you know what? Let me do that while you're playing this video.
Do you want me to fast forward to a certain spot or no?
No, I'll just come in at the end again. How about that?
Okay. That's a great plastic cup right there.
Where he basically cleaned up, kicked everyone's ass, and walked out with $500. He's hilarious. You're gonna love him. Put your hands together for Matthew Saldanha.
You're probably going to hear similar jokes. Unfortunately, I don't have that much material.
You ever think about how like tofu and dildos are both meat substitutes?
Yep. Same joke.
Stupid opening line. My mom's in the audience, by the way. Everyone clap for my mom.
So a much better audience.
They're very nice.
She's also from India, so I have to explain some of the jokes. I promise that won't get too much in the way. Is anyone drinking a beverage tonight? Yeah! I like Coca-Cola. That's my favorite beverage. But I hate ordering Coke, because you have to say like, hey, can I have some Coke? And then your waitress says, is Pepsi okay? And you say, yeah. It's like when you have your girlfriend and you say, hey, can I have a blowjob? She's like, hey, how about I beg you instead? And you say, okay. Mom pegging is when a girl gives like a firm kiss to a man. Fucking I get nervous in front of crowds. And my friend gave me this advice. He said, just imagine your audience naked. And I'm sure that works, but I think that's why your local priest also got in trouble. Not mine, though, like, no matter how hard I tried. What else do you want, Dad? Father? The Bible and 50 Shades don't really have that much in common, except for someone getting tied down and nailed. I think it's kind of fucked up though that they nailed Jesus to a cross. Like he's a carpenter, and you nailed him to a cross. Like come on, guys. Like my dad's a doctor, and that's like I don't know, nailing him to another patient. I don't know how it's going, but you get what I mean. Like it's a different. I think sharks get a bad rap. You know, because you always feel like, oh, they got bit by a shark. Like they're idiots. Look at them. They're just going around the ocean like. Like, give them a break. They can't see. They probably bite you by accident, like, oh shit, man, I'm sorry. Hey. Did you hear about that girl that like was a surfer and she got bit by a shark and then just goes back like without an arm? That's pretty courageous. That's like, I go back to Applebee's every Thursday this week. With half-price apps after 9. Fuck yeah. I will work up the courage to do that every week. So there's this thing called PETA, and they're an organization to save animals. But then it turned out they were killing like 80% of the animals in shelters, which is really fucked up. We were all pissed about it. But I think that shows a double standard. Like, we were all really pissed at PETA, but we turned a blind eye to Make-A-Wish. I think their numbers are like 100%. I was at a buddy's wedding, and I had a friend who was also a buddy. I know, I have a lot of friends. And he proposed to his girlfriend at the wedding, though, which is kind of a dick move. It's like if you're not getting enough attention at your grandma's funeral, so you blow your brains out. Like, come on. You know how to read a room. Like now. But imagine you came out tonight. How was the comedy? Oh, it was great. Last night, blew his brains out. I don't have a joke for that one. One time I did want to blow my brains out. I was texting my dad, and my dad is also from a third world country, and he's old and brown and like a doctor. He's like almost 70, so technology isn't in his favor. And that day wasn't in mine either. I was late for dinner, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, sorry, I was taking a nap." But I forgot to put a space between A and nap, and my phone knows how fucked up I am, so it auto-corrected it to anal. Which usually isn't a problem. But I texted my dad, "Hey, sorry, late for dinner, I was taking anal." And I get a phone call, like, "What are you doing? What was that?" I really love the gays. As a straight man, I really love the gays. I hope you're crazy. But like, cause they got like cool nicknames in their community. We don't. You're just straight. You're that. They have like Fairy and Twink and Otter and Jonathan. I don't know what they all mean. That's fucking cool. We don't have that. I was reading a list of the nicknames and I saw one that said Bear. I was like, Bear? That's me. I'm broad. I'm hairy. I gotta be a bear. I was really excited. That's fucking badass. My friend at work, he's gay. He's like, "Matthew, you're not a bear. You're a cub. You're not old enough to be a bear." I'm like, "I don't want to be a cub. That shit's gay." So, my parents came from India to America for me, and I'm really glad about it, because I sound like this, and my name's Matthew. That's 2 out of 3. I'll take it. But everyone always hears that, like, "Oh, you should be so grateful that your parents came from India." I am very grateful my parents came from India. You see these shoes? They don't have Timberlands or any other shoes there. But then they say like, "Oh, they did it for you." That's where I stopped them. They didn't do it for me. My dad didn't know me. My dad wasn't like, "One day I'll have a fat son doing shitty comedy in West Virginia. Let's go! Let's go!" My father did not like hop on a floating door, use his little sibling as a paddle to fight off sharks. For this asshole. There I go, antagonizing sharks. I'm part of the problem. I caught myself, and you guys should too. The girl I'm currently dating is a white lady. And she thinks I'm racist. Because it turns out I only date white ladies. But I don't think I'm racist. I think it's the opposite. I think the only ladies that will date me are white. Because they're really like the only girls you can still like convince that like this is exotic. And there's not too fucking million. They're like, "Oh, anything darker than my printer paper is And it's like the ratio of body hair to dick really isn't worth it. So we don't cry. I'm glad I sound like this though and not actually like my dad. That would be really hard at picking up women at bars. Like, man, imagine if someone came up to you, hello. How do you mean? Would you like to come back to my apartment? My sheets have 900 thread count. And like, he keeps on making eye contact with you. You're uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. I'm really doing this bit way too long. At this point, neither of us are having fun. They're just all too drunk and doing a lot. You know? Thank you for letting me do that joke. Is this your boyfriend? What's his name? Shahid? You fell for it too! Wow! Good job! He's like, his name is Shahid, and he's like, don't tell him it's Sean. My current girlfriend is German. She is from Germany, which is cool, and she's really smart. But the thing about Germans is really funny, is they're really nice, but they don't do much communication. It's, if you know a person, you talk to them. If you don't, you don't. She called me the other day. She's like, I was sexually harassed on the street. And I was like, what do you mean? The construction worker said hello to me. I was like, oh, what? She's like, yeah, she said hello. And I was like, that's how it works there. They talk so little that's sexual harassment. Which I said, I was there for 4 months, and she doesn't actually sound like that at all. But she's not here, so I can do that. She speaks really good English and French and Spanish. It's really impressive. But she's like really nice about it. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry that my English isn't that great. I don't speak at a high academic level. I hope you can understand me. I was like, dude, like when I try and speak German, it sounds like I'm getting face-fucked by my dad. And I know, yeah, I see like people are wondering, why does the dick in the scenario have to be his dad's? Why? I'm a fucked up guy. I don't know. Why is it my dad? But yeah, you think that German's gonna be like really harsh sounding, but it's actually like in the movies, it always sounds like, hold on, man. It sounds like. This guy got props. Yeah, it sounds like that, but it's fun. It's really close to English. If you didn't know, English is a Germanic language. So like, hallo is hello. Los geht's is let's go. Es freut mich, Sie kennenzulernen is hey, nice to meet you. And we all know that one thing about Germany, like they kind of have a checkered past. Like they did a thing. Not us though. We're pretty squeaky clean in our history, right, guys? And we're pretty good. I don't think anything happened ever. That's kind of what they teach us at school. Here's probably how the conversation between King George and Christopher Columbus went. King George is like, hey, Chris, it's been a while. Where have you been? Oh, shit, guys, it's King George. What do I say? Hey, King George, how's it going? Oh, Chris, did you find India? No, but we found this other land. It's pretty cool. Oh, cool. Is there gold? Fuck yeah, there's gold. There's so much gold. Oh, cool. What'd you guys do about the natives? There weren't any. There were no natives. Yeah, cut her head off. No, there weren't any. Yeah, no, slaughtered the whole family. It's okay. Yeah, no natives. Yeah, but the Germans are really nice, but in like an unsettling way. Like, they're overcompensating.
As you can tell, it's basically the same set, so we can kind of stop it there if you want.
Like, he's really drunk and he eats your leftovers. Then in the morning.
But I think a good point to bring up is how a different audience. Let's spin it that way because I thought that set would be different. Turns out it's the exact same thing. My bad. But
no, that's a good point. Like you said, I think the reactions to a lot of the same jokes are a lot different What do you think?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Now I realize why that set was so much different in my head. I must have told completely different jokes.
This is
I'm realizing,
same set, right?
yeah, it's basically the exact same set. I'm sorry that your audience had to listen to the same set twice.
No, it's perfect. No, here's the thing. Anybody that bitches about this stuff, they're not learning, right? So if
Right.
unfortunately most of the people that tune into my YouTube channel are watching
Hmm.
jiu-jitsu and MMA, so they're not watching comedy. So maybe who knows? Maybe we'll hit a couple extra people and some hashtags or something like that. But I think that's a prime example. Like,
Hmm.
and I have a good friend. Let's just talk about something that brings it back home. I have a good friend that's a lawyer, and we work out every day. And he just recently started jiu-jitsu and everything. But anyway, his point was, I really love jiu-jitsu and MMA. We spar, we do boxing, Muay Thai, everything. But he talks about life, how life knocks you down, how I may be at work, and I have for example, I'm just talking about him, but like I could have a horrible case where I think everything is going great, and then all of a sudden the verdict doesn't go my way, and I was going to win millions of dollars and I lost, right? So I got knocked down. So do I sulk all day, or do I get up and fight back and go at it? And that's why I love jiu-jitsu, and that's why I love MMA, because if, for example, you and I are rolling and you beat me, or you and I are sparring and you punch me, I have the option, right? I can quit. I can say he hit me and I can go home and I never come back. Or I can say, hey, he hit me. I got to hit him back. Right? He submitted me. I need to submit him back. I need to start from here. So that's a lot like what just happened just now, right? And not to say those sets were vastly different, because they weren't, right? But
No, they were 99% the same, actually.
yeah, well, that's me being kind. No, they weren't bad. So the difference was maybe you get some chuckles or 50% of people laughing, and then the next crowd, the last crowd we play, everybody's laughing, right? And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, the same jokes you say, because I had watched this. This is the one I watched before. I think somebody
Gotcha.
told me, same jokes, and I was like, God, man, he's funny. However, if I'd watched the other video you were first, I'd have
Yeah,
been like,
you'd
yeah,
probably be like,
okay.
yeah.
No, it's so much different when it's amazing how dependent your profession or your amateur profession is related to other people, because if they don't laugh,
Yeah.
it changes the whole night, right? Uh,
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, how do you how do you handle that same situation, vice versa? So the night one, you said you just kind of moved on, right? Or the next night, everybody's
Yeah. You
cracking up.
just you just go. I mean, I've committed to this. I've worked really hard about this, and
You think you did anything different?
I think there were a couple ones in the second set. The first one that we watched was actually a set after. I was much more experienced actually
Yeah.
in the bad one. And I stumbled a little bit on jokes and stuff like that. Maybe I didn't read the audience as well as I should have. Um, but that audience, the first audience, just found me way funnier. Sometimes it just comes down to that.
It's interesting. I mean, it's no, that actually makes me more nervous for Saturday. Um, you know what I'm saying? Just seeing how vastly different it can be, because right,
Hmm.
it could be. What happens if Saturday I wake up and I just feel like dog shit? Not sick, but I mean, sometimes you wake up and
Sure.
you're energetic and you're happy and you're smiley, and sometimes you wake up and you're like, "Don't fucking talk to me. I'm tired." And I mean,
Well,
what if?
you'll have the whole day to get yourself in the right mindset if you need to.
Yeah, I got to about 5 o'clock. Well, and that's the other thing. I think here's what I'll find out is we all know a lot of us feel better after a workout, right? So
Right.
I'm definitely going to work out first. I'm going to roll for 2-3 hours. Um, so will I be so tired that I don't have good timing? I don't have a good, what I mean? I don't have anything because I'm so, or am I so endorphined that I'm actually happy, right? Or
Yeah,
should I do some shots of tequila before I go on?
there's definitely a fine line with how drunk you should be because I've done sets where I got way too drunk, didn't go well, and I've done sets stone cold sober where I was too nervous to really do well. So like I'll take like one shot. Once again, I have super low tolerance, so maybe I'll do one shot or even half a shot
Yeah.
or something like that. But I think for me, no matter how I'm feeling that day, that excitement, the 10 minutes, 20 minutes before I gotta go on, that's what's, I mean, always gets me going, you know? And it makes me nervous to the point where like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna pop. But as soon as I start on that microphone, it just kind of fades away. You just get into it. And the first time, like I said, you're performing in front of people that absolutely love you and know how funny you are. So they're gonna be relaxed. I think that'll make you more relaxed. I think it's gonna go really well.
Well, that
I
helps.
have,
And I agree.
yeah.
That's why I picked such a soft place to do the thing.
I mean, yeah, the first time I performed was in front of other comedians that knew,
Yeah, no,
and they were super kind, and they laughed at all my jokes, and it was kind of like, I'll laugh at you, you laugh at me kind of a thing.
I say you still took the big dick mentality. I took the little mentality. We'll see how that goes. No, so I have a lot of admiration for you. That's why we're on here, and I appreciate you helping
Well,
me. So I can't say that enough. I really, so unrelated, as a friend, honestly, you don't know how much that I admire you as a friend. So I appreciate everything that you've done, and thank you for helping me for that stuff.
trust me, you have helped me just as much, if not more, than I have helped you. For people that don't know, Butch really helped get me into shape, get me back into working out. I was, your body health really affects your mental health, and starting at Butch's gym really, made me a lot happier as a
Well,
person.
so unrelated though, this is related. I don't know. I always happen to feel that.
Nothing is related. You better not draw any fucking lines.
Yeah, no, but I did notice in most of your videos you wear black and you look fucking ripped.
Oh God, no, I do not look ripped.
You
Don't
did.
even. You saw the size of my stomach in that first video. I have
Yeah.
lost a lot of weight since then.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Well, congratulations for looking like such a badass. So it's Saturday. We'll be sad because I originally planned this that you would be there. So even
I really wanted to.
if that changes, come down. But here's the thing. Hopefully, well, not even hopefully, for better for worse, 100%. As long as somebody records it, and I will tell my wife. She's just very unreliable. She's just not a great wife.
Tell a few people to record it, and hopefully one of them will.
No, and I will. So Saturday, for better for worse, I'll play everything, and I will hopefully you'll get to see the notes that Matt helped me put in here, and hopefully it will get a person or two to laugh. And then, like I said, here's the thing: that this whole point of setting this up, no matter who watches it, and maybe over the years, like 1,000 people watch it. Who knows, right? Like, I'm not expecting the world, but this will help them work through their process. I think I should have had everything written down, and I will from here on out. I'll actually, until Saturday, write it down, practice out loud. That way, when I get up there, I don't want to have notes, right? I don't want to have a piece of paper because I am only saying one little story. So it is the advantage I have that I'm saying a little joke that's about a 5-minute, but I'm in a good position, right? I'm doing something
absolutely
about me, right? Yeah, and I'm gonna preface this a lot of stuff that's about jiu-jitsu and kind of follow it in. I'm in a good spot, so if it fails, I didn't drink enough. That's what I'm gonna.
Yeah, if it fails, so what? You learn more from your mistakes than your successes anyway.
Yeah, I don't care. That's the other thing. I really don't care. And because of this audience, I say jokes every day in jiu-jitsu, which Matt's been there, and 50% of people laugh, 50% of people don't. But I don't care because it's a situation. We're there to learn jiu-jitsu, and I'm not really worried about it. I'm just trying to just not be so serious, right? So anyway, here's the thing. I appreciate it. I know you got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. You're the man.
No, you're too kind.
Yeah, you're beautiful. We'll hang out after this. Hopefully that day you get to come down, but I will promise to add this to our little video. We'll post it for the 10 or 20 people that are going to watch.
For those that were able to sit through our ramblings.
Yeah, maybe for everybody that works with you and everybody that works with me, we might have like 30, 40 if we're really lucky.
Yeah.
But no, I learned a lot. I appreciate it. Hopefully some other people learned a lot. Have fun
course.
tonight, whatever you're doing. You are super sexy. Where can people see you do anything? Fucking right? COVID, right?
Yeah, right now, because of COVID, I'm not doing really anything. I'm writing some jokes while in quarantine. I think I got some good ones, and hopefully you guys will see me on the comedy circuit, after COVID when it's safe. In the meantime, you did already see the only 2 videos I have on YouTube, but if you want to go give them some views, I would greatly appreciate that. That's about it.
Well,
I hope everyone stays safe. Most importantly.
Quit being so damn political.
Sorry. Where just cover.
The other side of what
politics.
Is not safe. So just not be safe, whatever side that is on. That's all good. No, I appreciate it. Thank you for teaching all of us, and have a good night, you really good looking guy.
Oh, you're just saying that.
Okay. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Love you, bud.
All right. See you, buddy. Bye.
See you.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. So first, this was done because we wanted to thank everybody for supporting us during the COVID bullshit, right? Whether you believe it or not, but I want to appreciate everybody that stayed on contract, that gave us extra money, that said, hey, I want to give you something so that when we come back, the gym's still there. So this is what this is for. This is why we have the band. This is why we have this big day. So I hand a round of applause for you guys. Real quick. Second of all, what about a bunch of these kids running around with inflatable dicks tonight? It's amazing, isn't it? It's a classy shindig, obviously, right? So let me tell you a little story, guys. So, right around 1998, 2000, this is kind of how this all started. So I moved to West Virginia. I wanted to do jiu-jitsu, obviously. But West Virginia didn't have jiu-jitsu. That sounds weird, right? But there's no jiu-jitsu. I went around, nothing to do. So I thought, okay, well, I like Hoist Gracie. I like seeing what he does on TV. Let me start this up. So I started a gym in my basement. That was probably about 1997, 1998. So at that time, we had a bunch of people come down. It got so big, that's why I had to form a gym, really. But this is kind of what happened. So I'm in my basement, I'm rolling with a guy. I can't remember who's on top or bottom. But anyway, let's just say that I was on bottom. I put him in a triangle. He puts me in a triangle, right? So basically, we're in a 69 position. So we are grunting, droning, make a lot of noise. I said, hey man, I need you to stop. He said, what's wrong? I said, man, I'm afraid somebody's gonna see us here, make a lot of noise. It was at that moment that I realized I need to start a gym. I need to bring the gayness to the masses, right? So I realized 2 things, actually, really at that time. I realized, 1, I needed to start a gym because so many people are coming to my house that I needed to come out here and start a gym. The second thing was, for a bunch of manly men, we do some severely gay stuff, right? Props to that. So I'm not saying we're gay, you guys don't know, but we're gonna demonstrate. Can I have 2 volunteers here real quick? So this is for the math trio. Joey knows, but you guys might not know the gay shit that Joey does on a daily basis. Others might not know. Can somebody please show me a Brazilian teabag, please?
Josh is ready.
Can somebody please show me a stack pass? Yes. Can somebody please show me the love position? This one, bring it way back. This is one of my wife's favorite because it's the moment of deepest penetration. So do you guys have any others? Anybody? Gary, you look amused. His son's confused. Yeah, 50-50, otherwise known as scissoring. But here's the ultimate thing, guys, for guys that don't do jiu-jitsu, girls that don't do jiu-jitsu. None of this is gay, as long as we don't look each other in the eyes. So let me demonstrate. Look each other in the eyes. Give me a stack pass and look Wes deep in the eyes as you do a stack pass. Oh. All right, guys, that's all I got for me. This is the Math Trio. Let's have some fun tonight.